All right, so I kind of wanted to talk about a topic that's close to me because I feel like most voters vote local.
Okay.
All right, and so it's kind of going to include some of the immigration, some of the tariffs. So I'm a rancher, and Trump is the best president that we've had in the last 70 years for ranchers. What do you have something to say to people like us who are excited about what Trump's doing with the tariffs? And
Ranchers that doesn't include like ordinary agriculture? Is that just animal ag or?
Yeah, specifically cattle. I mean, I'm not a farmer, so I can't speak to that, but I can speak to ranchers.
Sure, because I know he's been horrible for farmers in his first term and right now in this term. The soybean thing that just happened with Venezuela, I think, was
well,
really
I mean,
bad.
part of that's also the overregulation with what they've done with alfalfa and they've done with grain. I mean,
No, it was
corn
due to
subsidies.
Trump's tariffs and horrible negotiation
Nah.
skills and getting outplayed completely by China. Yeah.
I mean, well, we can look with ranching due to gestation periods. We can see specifically that over the next 2 years, we're going to have a turn. We're going to go from being the lowest herds that we've ever had to actually starting to be able to grow again and be competitive in the market. And, all these policies that Trump's put forth have been very beneficial to us. The trade deal with the UK specifically being one, some of these other trade deals, cutting out other countries like Paraguay, which was opened up with Biden. I mean, why do y'all hate ranchers?
Why do I hate what?
Why does the left seem to hate ranchers?
Well, I don't know if the left hates ranchers. Trump hasn't made any trade deals with any countries yet, so I don't know what trade deals you're referring to when you talk about the UK or anybody. All Trump has done is increase the tariffs to basically every country on the planet right now, so I don't know how that's helping.
Well, that's not true. The UK just agreed to get rid of restrictions and match USDA requirements regarding beef, and so they agreed to get rid of the restrictions on how much beef they've included. That's something I know
They might
for
have
a fact
agreed in
that's
a
happened.
speech, but there hasn't been any like deal formalized yet. Like these are all like skeletons of plans, and we're still waiting for something.
Well, I mean, that's
to
better
actually-
than nothing. You just talked about how, with the border, right? You just talked about how, they just slapped a thing on there and then, we haven't finished the job. Well, at least we got something started. Before, it was just continuous bleeding. Would you agree that getting some kind of start is better than no start at all?
No, because we're starting 1,000 feet behind the starting line because Trump started by tariffing the entire planet for no reason.
Yeah, because they've been taking advantage of the great United States.
They haven't been taking advantage of us.
Yeah,
Our economy
absolutely.
is destroying the rest of the world. So we're the biggest economy on the planet.
Yeah, exactly. So they should be paying for access to that.
Part of the
specifically.
reason why we're the biggest economy on the planet is because they don't have to pay for access. We have open and free trade.
Yeah, but listen, everybody wants to be a Walmart. That's great and all, but eventually Walmart has to up its cost if there's no kind of benefits to them making money. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Part of the
capitalism.
reason why everybody wants to go to Walmart, though, is because everybody can go to Walmart. As soon as you start making it restrictive and you start putting tariffs and other people start counter-tariffing you, nobody wants to go to your place.
Yeah, but whenever you have to pay all these different things with Walmart specifically, right? Like there's a reason why Walmart's closed down in certain neighborhoods due to crime and theft because it becomes not profitable. Right now we're running with the biggest deficit we've ever run, and it's time to make some changes. And specifically with ag and ranching, we're actually seeing benefits and changes that are benefiting ranchers, especially with the border control. It's helping to stop the screwworm infestation in Mexico from coming here. If that comes to Mexico, the beef industry collapses completely because of the small herds. I mean, why would we not want this kind of security? Why wouldn't we want these trade deals to benefit Americans?
We don't have any trade deals yet, so I can't really speak
What
to...
do you mean we don't have trade deals? They're announcing trade deals all the time. Stuff is finalized.
Yeah,
They're starting the
we're
process.
always 2 weeks away from them.
Nah, that's convenient. I mean, it's not always 2 weeks away.
It is always 2 weeks away. That's why there's not a single trade deal. The UK
Well,
trade deal is not done yet.
I'm specifically citing the UK. They've already come back and said we're relaxing restrictions on American beef. We're going to match American. That's a change. That's like maybe it's not a formalized trade deal, but whenever it's accomplished a goal, that's basically essentially a trade deal in all but name.
Yeah, the name is important. That's why it's called a deal.
Yeah, but
Like if I were to tell you that like I have a mortgage on my house, like I'm good to go, like I've got everything done except the bank just hasn't like signed it yet. Well, that doesn't mean anything then, right?
Sure, but if I go buy a car cash, if I go in there and I'm like, hey, I want this jalopy, and they're like, hey, okay, cool, and I give them $2,000 or whatever, and they give me the car, and I don't have to sign anything except for the title. I mean, that's the same thing.
Yeah, but if they didn't give you the title, you wouldn't feel like you owned the car, right?
I mean, maybe, depends
You
on how old
would
the
give
car
them
is.
all the cash, you'd drive out with the car,
Yeah,
you'd
but-
leave the title at the car dealership?
Yeah, but if I get the car dealership, I mean, I would say if they're getting rid of the restrictions and I have the title, that's the same as the title. It's basically essentially the same.
Yeah, the reality of the situation is that Trump has just been horrible for trade in every respect. I don't know how anybody who likes free trade or thinks that trade is beneficial to the United States.
It's great to sit here and try to say, oh, we're pro-free trade, we're pro-capitalist, and that's like, you have this envision, this idea that all the people on the right are just these anarcho-capitalists, which isn't true. We want trade that's going to benefit us, and right now we've been taken advantage of, especially in the beef
Why do we
industry.
think we've been taken advantage of?
Well, because I know for a fact that the reason we're losing beef, we've had beef cattle herds go further down, is because other countries have taken over our market. Under the Biden administration, we've not been able to compete fairly at the international level. We have all sorts of border problems because we have all these different
Let's
diseases
just
come up
focus-
into the cattle farm.
You think that beef failed under the Biden
and the corn
admin?
subsidies have been a
Why
problem.
how did Biden make beef fail in a way that Trump didn't didn't protect
Well,
in the
that's
first 4
easy.
years?
Well, one, Trump has already got rid of some of the subsidies, like the corn subsidies. He's cracked down on illegal immigration. So, if you know anything about ranching, then 97% of the United States ranches are family-owned. That's something that's very important to this. And when I look, there's a small percentage, maybe the top 5%, that have most of the base for this production, and those people are all treating unfairly by using illegal immigration labor, and then whenever they get busted, they just use, pay the fine and don't care. And with this bust, it's basically helped the mom and pop, which is 97% of the ranches, so about the 80% that's not these select 10%.
I don't understand. Wouldn't a legal immigrant labor help family farmers keep their costs more competitive so they'd make more money? Is that the whole reason they hire illegal immigrants?
No, because as a regular farmer, I can't go and afford, a regular rancher, I can't go and afford to pay the fine that a massive corporate-owned or family corporate-owned, basically, ranch can. They can just pay the fine, hire new immigrants. I can't do that. I have to go through the legal process. I have to hire legal people because they come and check us and come and get us if we do that.
Okay, but then all I'm saying is at the end of the day, this is going to end up raising your costs, so it feels like you're going to be less competitive in the global market anyway, no?
It's going to make it competitive costs. Like, if one person has an advantage the other has, that's not good at all. Isn't that what they all want to do with DEI? You want to get rid of a competitive advantage that a certain group has?
Okay, hold on. Just as a baseline, you acknowledge that like a tariff is a tax paid by an importer, right?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay, you know that a trade deficit doesn't mean that we're being taken advantage of by another country, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's partially part of that, though.
Well, not how?
Because if you're sitting here having to compete in that unfair advantage, you're going to have to offset it in some way in the trade deficit and all sorts of other deficits.
Wait, why is it an unfair? Maybe we just have more money to spend.
What, do you have just more money to spend? I mean, let's go back to what I was just talking about, though, real quick. You just asked why it would be fair to, like, the regular guy versus the other. Okay, cool. If you can look at the tariff argument and say, okay, maybe these people pay more taxes, but if it eliminates the bigger net negative, which is like the illegal immigrants working for these ranches have a certain special advantage that most ranches don't have. Other countries taking advantages when it comes to production. Like, these are all benefits that we've gained since Trump has taken office that was on a steady decline under the last 3 or 4 presidents.
When you say other countries are taking advantage of us because they can sell us things for cheap, I think that's like a truism that's just given, but it doesn't really logically follow. Inflation is increasing again at a faster rate than it was before. Our trade deficit is exploding. Trump did absolutely nothing to bring it down. Now we're paying a whole new category of tax that we barely paid before, which is the tariffs. We're having to bail out our soybean farmers now because we just got cracked over the head with China and Venezuela. Like the idea that there's all this help coming through because he closed the border, although apparently 25 million illegals are already in here. Like, I don't see where the help is.
I could give you an example, though, right? So this is kind of the, like, bait and switch that the leftist seems to like to do, right? First of all, I go, tariffs are all bad. And then I want to bring up other things like the trade deals, and you'll say, they don't happen. But when I say, I go, hey, look, the UK is now matching American standards. It's a little bit of a bait and switch because you go, they haven't taken advantage of. Then I go and look at Europe, and I go look at Australia, and I go look at, the UK, and they have all these extra standards on beef that restricts us and doesn't allow us to sell over there in their markets. They're able to import over here, and we're not able to export there. That's an unfair advantage. You could say they're not reciprocal, but we don't even have an option to go in there and sell because they're sitting here excluding us. And they're like, maybe it's technically not a tariff, but the tariff is forcing them to react and change their policies at the local level, which benefits us here. So it's kind of like, it's not a direct one-to-one comparison. I'm sure you
I think if I heard
that.
more conversation about like these particular standards, maybe I'd be more amenable to it. But the problem is Trump speaks so broadly, and then conservatives never actually detail any of these things. Like, it's okay for different markets to have different standards for different things. That's fine, right?
Sure.
What was the FDA? There was some drug that they didn't approve a long time ago that was approved in Europe. I wish I could remember the name of it, but women would take it when they were pregnant and their babies were coming out like 7 arms or something. It was a bad drug that didn't get approved over here. It was approved in Europe, but like there are different standards in different countries for different things sometimes. Like the idea that somebody might have a different standard for beef, and then so we can't export to that market as much, at least not all of our beef. I don't know if that's necessarily inherently exploitative. It can. There are some standards like that are set up to be exploitative. But also, if Trump wanted to negotiate these, he said it himself. We have the largest, hottest economy in the world. Why would we have to start with a global tariff and then work from there?
It's because it's sending a message, and then these people come back and they make more fair deals. They get rid of the
They
tariffs.
haven't made any deals yet, though.
They've made all sorts of deals.
We
got
have
zero
zero
with
deals.
Panama. We got deals with the UK.
We have zero deals.
What are you saying? We don't have zero deals when they've been announced. We've had their prime minister.
Yes, we've had announcements. He's talked. That's all Trump can do is talk. You know, the deal we did have was the U.S. Mexico-Canada trade deal from Trump.
Sure.
He blew that up. So we have no deals.
Yeah,
negative deals.
So that's interesting you bring that up. Do you disagree that, like, okay, things change with a period of time? So I've heard people on the left, like yourself, sit here and advocate that this is just a massive failure that Trump came out here to. You just advocated earlier that, oh, hey, this guy, he's a politician. He's going to adjust to what the people want. Trump's a politician. He's saying, oh, this deal failed. Let's adjust. Let's get something new in there. Let's do something else. Now he's trying the stick instead of the carrot, and it seems to be working.
It's not working, though. Inflation is increasing. Our exports and import markets are hurt right now. The treasury yields are increasing. The world economy is losing faith in the United States. Like, basically every conceivable metric, we're worse off than we were before. The budget is out of control. The one big beautiful bill massively. Our government is being shut down again. Like, everything is failing. I don't know where all the success is coming from.
Like I said, I can point specifically to the beef industry as one of the industries that is growing. And this is kind of the misnomer I think y'all are talking about. We've been a service industry nation for a while now, and it looks like we're trying to move back to more of a manufacturing and production nation. And I think this is one of the major ones. If the beef industry fails, that's a national security crisis. Like, first thing that happens if you lose your food supply, and that's going to be a bad thing.
Cheeseburgers are the only food supply in the United States?
You act like that's funny. That's a good one, though. But here's the thing. Like, I used to be able to go get, a thing of fajitas, some skirt steak, a couple pounds of it, 99 cents a pound. Now it's $14 a pound, right? And, that's crazy, and it's bad. And that's due to exactly because the Biden-era policies under soy, the Biden-era policies under alfalfa, the Biden-era policies under corn. All these subsidies made people switch, and all of a sudden now we didn't have feed, herds shrunk. We had these unfair deals with these other countries, and now, hey, if we have this screwworm infestation and have a porous border, which we know a porous border causes infestations of these screwworms and other kind of diseases into our beef market, if we don't have this secured, it's going to be bad. And under Biden, we didn't have any of that. And under Trump, we've secured it, just like the gentleman that just went before me said, and you agreed. So, like, how can you say this is a net bad for some of these industries when we're in a transitionary period?
Well, if we're transitioning backwards, I guess it's a net good if we're trying to regress economically and security-wise. But, like, if you care about national security, Trump has been worse on national security in, like, almost every conceivable metric.
Wait, do you think going backwards into production and manufacturing is actually you think that's going backwards, I guess is what you're saying?
When people speak derogatorily about, like, service-type economies and then they want to step back into manufacturing, that's a regression.
See, I disagree. I hear a lot of people, I guess they want to go backwards to a time where they had more money in their pocket. Like, I hear all these people that were big union guys going, hey, I miss working at the factory, making $30 an hour. Why can't we get back to factories? I hear ranchers talk about, I remember in the 50s, which is crazy that they're talking about the 50s when they had larger herds, beef prices were way down. Even in the 90s, beef prices weren't as egregious as now, but they're still flying up, and it's because of all the bad lefty policies where they're over-regulated.
But like in the 1500s, if you knew the Pythagorean theorem, you were the smartest guy in your math class. Like, times change. You can't just say
what does that have to do with anything?
Because going backwards to a manufacturing economy, that might have been good 50 to 100 years ago when the entire world was doing, like, manufacturing and was working that way. But you can't, like, no economy, you can't give me a single example of an economy anywhere on the planet that regressed economically.
That's ludicrous to argue that you were the smartest person in the room just because you knew the Pythagorean theorem. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now, which is
what is an economy that's gone backwards from service to manufacturing? Like, who are you jealous of economically? Who do you think does better than the United States economically?
We could be doing better. China's exploding at one of the quickest rates. They're doing a lot of manufacturing. We're seeing all these other countries.
What is China trying to expand the most into, though? What does Trump complain? They steal our intellectual property. They have things like TikTok. They're expanding in green energy. They're expanding their relations with every other country on the planet. They're expanding, like, all of their tech industry. They're not trying to do more manufacturing. They're trying to do more service.
Do you think tech is only service, producing tech? Right now we can't even make missiles. We can't even make phones. We're running out of the supplies to sit here and get the rare earth minerals.
We can't make missiles?
Yeah, we don't have the tech.
We literally bombed Iranian nuclear plants, and they didn't even know about it until Trump went on the media and made an announcement about it.
We already had those.
So we can bomb things. I think we're doing okay there.
You disagree with the Biden administration, the reason why they put forth the CHIPS Act in the first place then?
I think the CHIPS Act is fine. I think there are certain things that we can incentivize here.
Oh, so then you are pro-manufacturing then?
I never said I was anti-manufacturing. What I took issue with was you attacking service.
Listen, we saw COVID. It became the gig economy, became just service economy. That's bad. I don't know anybody that can sit here and just make a living wage off of just working Uber or Uber Eats or DoorDash or anything. Nobody can live like that. They have to do this. They have to work the regular job and they have to work one of these in the side jobs to sit here and get by. If we could return to manufacturing, people can work their 9 to 5s, 40 hours a week, and get back to only having to work 40 hours a week.
You acknowledge that those jobs are never coming back like that, right? Like, every time you say that, you're selling a lie to people. That will never, ever be the case that you can put a door on a car and make a living wage doing that. That will never be the case again in any part of the world.
How are you intending that we're going to automate, say, something like ranching? There's no way you can automate ranching. What are they going to have?
Farming uses more like automation and advanced machinery. Like, do you think that people that do agriculture, like, go out with their scythes and chop the crops?
No, I think as somebody that's done agriculture my entire life, I feel like I have a pretty good idea. I don't think there's any robot that can go out there and kill snakes currently that keep my cattle from being poisoned. I don't think there's a robot right now that can go kill a mountain lion or a coyote that's eating a calf. No, I don't think there's going to be a robot that can build my fence for me currently. No, I'm sorry, there's just no way you can sit here and automate that. Maybe at a feedlot, but that's the second tier part of the production when it comes to ranching.
So I can understand it. You're saying that the process of building a fence today is the same as it was 50 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's not my experience on any of this, but okay.
I mean, the only difference is maybe we have a post hole digger so we can do it faster. I mean, even then, that's still something that's been around 30 years.
Okay, when it comes to manufacturing things, there's never going to be a world where we have like the old like the Detroits, like the car manufacturing plants, where like an ordinary person can do kind of like.
What about aerospace? What about just like we were talking about chips manufacturing?
Even aerospace. I mean, look, you're not. These are all like robot automated jobs.
Shipbuilding. That's another one we need. China's outbeating us in shipbuilding. There's all these different industries that are definitely going to be having to be built here if we build the tariffs, and it is transitory. And
you think that we're going to go back to a world where you've got people that are manually putting these things together and making a living wage doing it? We're going to be competitive with the rest of the world on this?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think we're going to be able to be more competitive because lately with the service economy, what do we make? We make nothing. And when you make nothing, you're worth nothing.
What do you mean by you make nothing?
I mean, if you're just the service industry, if you're only able to sit here, say you're a waiter at a restaurant, right? That's service industry. You would agree with that?
Yeah, but like people also consider like programmers like service. I mean,
yeah, there's going to be a lot. Let's say you're a waiter at a restaurant, for example, right? The only way you have to sit here and serve that burger, that $8 burger you were talking about, is if someone's able to make the beef, to get the beef there, and then they produce it, they like manufacture it, they feed it, all this good stuff, butcher it. You have to have all these different lines in the line of production in order for the service industry to work. And what you're proposing is, let's just kill the beef industry. We don't need that going forward. We're going to sit here and just import this beef, and then, if we ever have any kind of trade problems with these people and they cut it off, suddenly now the service worker's out of job because they can't get beef for their
So do you think like Microsoft is like a nothing company?
I mean, you think Microsoft is a service company, or do you think they're a production company? Because they're both.
What do you mean by, what do you consider production?
I mean, they're building computers. Do you think they're building computers? They build software.
Does Microsoft build computers?
I mean, they used to. I mean, I'm not sure if they do.
I'm thinking they have Azure. They're like servers and stuff that you can rent space out of, but this is all like service electronic stuff, and they do like software, or like Amazon, AWS,
I mean,
like software. Like, do you think it's like fake stuff?
I mean, I guess software would be service, but I mean, just because you have that doesn't mean you don't need HP building them, or like Texas Instruments building TI-83s, or Texas Instruments building computers, or all sorts of companies.
Like, is there an example of any other country on the planet that has gone back to, or whose economy that you think we should emulate, who's doing better than us, who does less service and more manufacturing?
Why would we want to emulate another country when we're the world leaders? I feel like we should lead the way and go back to manufacturing.
Do you see what you just said? We should lead the way and go back?
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
that doesn't
because what's going on right now is not working.
What was going on was we were dominating the entire world economy. We came out of COVID stronger and better than every other economy on the planet. What do you mean? Since when?
I mean, it's arguably the whole reason why I think Mr. Pangburn over here brought up Hassan earlier as a joke. I mean, Hassan's always talked about multipolarity. I mean, if anything, the multipolarity people are getting stronger because we're sitting here not doing manufacturing. We're the weakest we've been in 200 years almost.
Our manufacturing has increased. The output of manufacturing in the U.S. has increased, like, pretty solidly.
In what industries? Like a few, like, specific ones? Well, major industries have, like,
I mean, we probably don't manufacture the same things anymore, but we do, like, end-stage manufacturing better than most other countries on the planet.
So
but we'd rather be making, like, the widget monster than making the widgets.
Well, you yourself just brought up at the beginning of this conversation the soy industry, right? The soy, how it got devastated by some of Trump's policies, okay? And then how there's having all these problems. Well, that's manufacturing that's gone backwards. You didn't seem to have a problem when something like soy was doing well, but now that ranching's doing well, now it's a problem.
Why would it be a problem if they're doing well?
My
issue is that conservatives, for some reason, you guys view everything on the planet as like some zero-sum game where the only way to make gains is to destroy some other part of the economy or to destroy some other part of the world in order to have some piece of the pie for themselves. But like you can talk about these things like manufacturing is being destroyed. Why did Elon Musk start Tesla and start SpaceX? Why did he start that in the United States if our manufacturing is so horrible? And when he did start that in the U.S., it's not like he put together a whole bunch of blue-collar workers in the Uber factories to build the rockets and the cars?
I can't speak to Elon Musk and why he wants to be a patriot and build jobs here in America or return us to space. I don't know all that, but I'll tell you this. When I'm sitting here seeing people sit here and complain about, the soy industry collapsing, or I'm seeing other industries popped up, like the corn industry propped up by subsidies while, the beef industry languishes and rots on the vine, I sit here and go back to what I said in the beginning. I think it's not that Republicans think it's a zero-sum game. I think it's that we sit here and look and we go, we vote local, right? Whenever I'm having my fences damaged by coyotes coming across, bringing people illegally, or I'm having people sit here getting unfair advantages because they can pay to have illegal workers to pay the fine, hire new people, and then I'm having things like the other countries sit here have unfair regulations that we can't compete with while we have tariffs on our beef or numbers. I think it's pretty clear that the left, for the last 20 years at least, hasn't cared about people like me. And so when I go and vote, I don't know, it's kind of like a big FU all of a sudden when we're doing good and everybody else is like, oh no, it's so bad. And it's like,
I mean, you can say that, but like the reality is on every single issue you listed, Trump has failed, will continue to fail, and by the end of his term will have failed on every single one of those issues. Costs are increasing for everything. Tariffs are hurting every single consumer, disproportionately middle class and worse. The budget is spiraling.
High.
What?
Stock market's at an all-time high. It's hitting record highs.
I'm sorry, stock market? What happened to voting local? Do you think the stock market represents the average person?
Local. Beef prices, like I said,
stock markets were at all-time high under Biden. Would you say that Biden had a great economy?
Yeah, the highest under Biden is the highest under Biden is the lowest it's been under Trump. So I guess you're giving
welcome
credit
to the stock
Trump
market. It goes up.
Yeah, I mean, no, it doesn't. What do you mean? We have crashes all the time.
Yeah, and then it goes up. The last 3 or 4 years of Obama's presidency was all-time highs before Trump came in, and then Trump was all-time highs, and then COVID happened, and then Biden was all-time highs. And guess what? By the end of Trump's term, it'll be all-time highs. And guess what? After the next president, it'll also be all-time highs. That's how the stock market works.
Yeah, but whenever we talk about inflation, we can go and look at average costs going in there, right? Like right now with beef, like I said, it's going to take 2 years for things to level out and the cost to be passed on to consumers and it go down. But if we continue under the same policies, the beef prices are just going to keep flying up. Soon it's going to be $30 for your $8 burger at the rate it's going. We're at an all-time high for beef prices. Yeah, it's great for a seller's market, but it's really bad for everybody else. And so when I'm sitting here looking at what you're saying, gas right now where I'm at, it's like $2.30, right? I'm sure it's higher in some places like California. Why don't we look at where it's higher and where it's lower? And it's clear that the places with more regulation are way, way higher. So at
the end of Trump's term, when inflation is higher than it should be, when costs are higher than they should be, are we still going to blame Biden for that? Because inflation is higher now. It's coming higher and higher and hotter than it should have been. The Fed is going to have to, unfortunately, they're going to have to lower rates now because inflation is not only inflation increasing, unemployment is increasing too. Like on every economic indicator we have, every market indicator we have is looking worse and worse.
Hold on, you're sitting there saying unemployment is up. Yeah, well, cool. That's great and all, maybe. But it's more also at the same, when I look at this, I heard, unemployment's great for all these people. And then you find out, they included all these people that worked 18 hours a week as employed and whatnot. That's ridiculous. That's not employment.
Well, that's not how unemployment is calculated.
Yeah, it was under one of the things.
No, it wasn't.
That's why under the Biden, they keep having to revise the job reports. We figured out they're lying. There's just no trust from the left right now. Y'all lied about his health. Y'all lied about jobs reports repeatedly. We know for a fact
there's no trust from the left because Trump himself will openly lie about everything.
But this is something I can look like. I'm not even a super huge pro-MAGA guy. I'm like a Texas Republican. We don't trust big government. And then when I sit here and I look and I sit here and you go, oh yeah, Trump's lied about everything. And I see the stuff he's done. And then I go, oh, it's the highest jobs they've ever been. And then I go, oh, okay, well look, let's see. Why did they just sit here and cut out 100,000 jobs from the last Biden report? Or why'd they cut 300,000? And every time the Biden jobs report came out, it was cut under Trump. We haven't seen those things. We've seen very small corrections, if at all. And so it looks like, maybe it's slower, but it's also not inflated fake numbers the way that you're sitting here pertaining, putting out there.
So you believe the numbers under Trump, but you don't believe the numbers under Biden?
I'm just saying if they're from the same agencies,
Do you believe the numbers under Trump, but you don't believe the numbers under Biden?
No, what I'm saying, well, hold on. The Biden numbers under Biden that I'm quoting are the same numbers that came out. First, he put one out for the jobs report, and then several times, each time under Biden, those jobs reports got revised. Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, job report revisions are pretty common, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and when they're substantial, and you go all the whole time, hey, buddy, this is the highest jobs we've ever had, and then 3 months later, the revision comes out, and it's 1 million people lower or 300,000 lower, and it's not the highest. Well, that's a lie. Would you agree? You just said it's exaggerating. It's a lie.
So I don't think the revisions were as drastic under Biden. I think one of the reasons for a lot of the revisions under Trump is because Trump has done a lot of self-inflicted harm on the economy that nobody was expecting and the markets have had to adjust for. For instance, the global tariffs that were completely brainless that have done nothing but damage to the United States economy and reputation abroad.
So wait, just to be clear, you're saying that exaggerating the numbers under Biden is different than Trump exaggerating, saying...
I don't think they're exaggerating. When they do the prospective job numbers, they collect it from the census and then they get the later report. Yeah, I know, learning about how the data works is frustrating. That's why Trump wants to fire guys and put in guys to give him the answer that he wants.
It is frustrating. Whenever you're the average American, I run up several businesses. It's not very hard for me to sit here and go, oh, I did this. If I go to my investors and I tell them, hey, guess what? Our numbers are actually, 300% lower than what I actually told you in, 3 months ago. That's going to be outrageous. Or at least, we made $300,000 less this month than we actually told you we made. Now that we've done revisions, they're going to go, that's a lie, and they're going to want to pull funds. So whenever you're sitting here going, oh, it's not the same. It's frustrating how numbers work. Yeah, it is frustrating to the average Americans who are wise to this game now. I just don't understand how you can sit here and say it's not an exaggeration or whenever that's exactly what's
because
happening.
they do revisions because the first numbers they get are different than after they verify them on the second batch. Like you can, I think they're pulled from different. I think one comes from some census-related thing, the other comes from some like final jobs reports related thing from companies. I don't know exactly how they calculate it, but there are always adjustments. There have always been revisions.
Yeah, sure, but and that's a lie, especially when you sit here and you run on, we have the best jobs ever, and then you're going to sit here running the Trump presidency.
Because under Biden, the job economy was very hot, yes.
No, fake news. And when we sit here, and I want to talk about what you just said. You sat here and said, hey, we're going to sit here and get, the inflation rate, if it's the highest it's ever been. Well, I can't remember a government in recent memory that didn't have inflation rates go up. But if he slows the inflation rate, and it looks like it is drastically slowing.
It's not slowing.
It's
beating now. I think 2.9 was what it came in under, and it was supposed to be like 2.4, so it's increasing, which we would expect as the tariffs are increasing everything.
I don't know. I'm seeing 2.4 from multiple sources regularly right now. That's what they're estimating they're going to be at the end of the year. So, I don't know. I guess we have different sources on that one. But if there are 2.4 and it did slow the growth, then hell yeah, that's exactly what we want, isn't it?
I mean, if the inflation is coming in hotter than we would expect it to, and it's coming in hotter for literally no reason besides the fact that Trump is adding costs to everything by tariffing the entire world for no reason, I think, no, that's not what we want. We had an economic contraction for quarter one for absolutely no reason.
2.9% is bad. Whenever Biden came in, we had a 25% to 50% increase almost inflation.
Where was the Biden inflation from?
What was the Biden inflation from?
Yeah.
It's terrible mismanagement in all these different industries.
What was the Biden inflation from?
Are you going to blame COVID? Is that what you're about to try to blame?
Don't we blame COVID for Trump's disastrous fourth year? Does it only work for Trump?
I mean, I'm not sitting here. I'm making claims based off what I'm seeing.
Wait, where do you think the majority of the inflation happened due to under Biden's administration?
Yeah, I would argue that, all the extra checks got sent out. I didn't even like it when Trump sent out checks. But whenever they're sending out all these checks, yeah, that's going to drastically inflate things. Whenever you have people send out, all these different checks going out and no one has to work and you can just go spend money like play money, of course the prices of inflation is going to go up. Do you disagree?
So we had COVID was a huge thing, right? Mm-hmm. We had to do some kind of stimulus for the economy. And then we also had the Ukraine war breakout, which did a lot for shipping and prices of stuff globally as well for a bit, right? So he had to deal with those two things. For the most part, by the end of his term, inflation was, I think it was sub 3 points. When Trump came in, everything was running fine. We had an economic contraction in quarter one for no reason. And now we've had inflation starting to tick upwards again for no reason.
If we look historically throughout history at all the different countries, every time we've had like a giant inflation increase, look at like 1920s Germany, right? Or even Venezuela now, what do? They do stimulus packages and they kept sending out tons of extra cash, all these stimulus bonuses, all this money, and they flood the market. All of a sudden, about a year later, 6 months later, suddenly that money's not worth anything because inflation's through the roof. That's exactly what happened under Biden. And,
really? Under Biden, the USD wasn't worth anything?
Yeah, it's gone way down. Are you disagreeing that the U.S. dollar?
The only thing that was damaging faith in the U.S. dollar was Trump's crazy tariff plan.
No, that's not true.
It's absolutely.
The U.S. dollar has been on the decline for like 15, 20 years.
Absolutely not. You can see USD to euro comparison. Like Trump has been destroying the USD with his insane.
That's not true at all. I just don't know where you're getting
your information. You can look at the Treasury yields increasing because other people, Japan and Canada, were possibly looking at offloading U.S. Treasuries. You can look at the fact that you want to talk about a deficit or increasing U.S. dollars again. Trump's first term, all he did were tax cuts. He didn't pair it with any spending cuts. Massive deficits. Look at the one big beautiful bill. Massive deficits. All Trump does is print money like crazy. For no reason too. He did it for no reason. There's no crisis right now for these 4 years.
No, I disagree. I think the economy is in a great shape and getting better, especially when I look at things like luxury goods.
So do you support deficit spending?
Do I support what?
Do you support massive deficit spending to increase the economy?
It depends, not generally.
It depends on what? If it's a Republican or a Democrat in office?
I mean, sure, I guess, but not really. No, it depends on it. Like, for example, I'll give you one that I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like Trump's gun laws as a Texan, right? So I'm not just to sit here die hard. I'm going to die on the hill. I think the big beautiful bill. I'm sure that's what you want to be referring to. I think that was too much. I'm not a huge fan of that. So no, I'm not going to sit here and die on that hill for some of these things. However, I do think whenever he's sitting here and he's accomplishing things in multiple industries that are improving things for us, I think maybe we should give him a chance. We've done things one way for the last, 16 of the last 20 years, have been done one way. And now, we're getting a change and it's benefiting some people that haven't been benefiting for a while. And all of a sudden, that's a problem. And that's kind of what I keep coming back to you. You're saying it's a zero-sum game on our side. When I'm saying it looks like it's a zero-sum game on your side because y'all hate seeing anybody else win.
When you say try something different over the past 20, 30 years, what I've seen is Republicans destroying the economy, Democrats coming in and having to try to rebuild, and then Republicans coming in and trying to...
Wait, well, how come did the general public, whenever time they're polled, say they trust the Republicans more with the economy than Democrats?
Because the general republic is...
so we're just better at marketing in that case?
Yeah, conservatives, all they do is market. Like when they've invested...
So, what did Obama come in after?
What did Obama come in after? He came in after the 2007-2008 housing crisis. Was that the Democrats' fault? No, that was a deregulation thing. That was a repeal of Glass-Steagall. That was a repeal of all the mortgage regulations. That was a Republican-run drive-up, right? Where did all the massive spending come from under Bush? It was for foreign wars. What did Biden come in under? He came under the horrible COVID mismanagement, Trump having no leadership or guidance over the country.
I mean, Bush had his own economic win before that, the housing crisis. He was doing good. You know, we could bash the wars, but, you know, military-industrial complex spending was up, stock was through the roof, oil production was up. You know, there was benefits there in some of those regards. But, you know, yeah, I mean, the housing bubble, that wasn't good. You know, I didn't like that. The banking crisis under Obama, that also wasn't good. You know, I feel like these are massive crises.
The banking crisis under Obama?
Yeah.
You mean under Bush?
No, the banking crisis underneath it. Wasn't it Bush?
The bailouts, that was because of the mortgage
I didn't like
stuff.
that either one. Bush was bad.
But these were Republican-led disasters that a Democrat has to come in and clean up under and then still get the economy moving again. Biden had to do it again after Trump, and now we're going to have to do it again after this Trump.
You keep saying get the economy moving again when it's like clear that some people are getting left in the dust. There's a reason why, for example, and I keep coming back to beef, is so high right now, and it's because of the Democrat policies like grain and corn subsidies, where it switched people going away from the stuff that would usually generally go to beef. All of a sudden now you don't have the feed supply, and the only people that can survive are people like myself who are grass-fed ranchers, and all of a sudden you just take out a huge swath of an industry that was already hurting. And I can look at other industries like this, and it's just like, oh, well, you know, hey, at least soy is good right now. Like, you know, like what? Like, come on, man. Like, that's not.
I think that animal agriculture exports are going to be down by the end of Trump's 4 years. I think that the access to other markets is poor. I think that the reciprocated tariffs now, the real ones, not the fake ones that Trump said were there before, are hurting exporters all across the United States. I think the weakening of our dollar is going to end up I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to hurt our ability to export to other markets.
Well, like you look at China, do you think that would you call what we've done with China a general tariff, or would you call that a reciprocal? Whenever they came in at one rate and then we came back in at one rate, and then all of a sudden they lowered it, we lowered it, we're still 15% higher, and they agreed to it. Would you not agree that that's a win in our book? I mean, just look at how much money the
everything
tariffs
about Trump's
in.
trade has been a loss so far. Everybody
That's not
agrees.
true at all.
His whole administration realizes it. He realized
Partially
it.
due to the tariffs, we've actually, what was it, the last 2 months have reported a surplus specifically due to the tariffs? I mean, do you not agree that's a good thing? Aren't happy that the government's getting a surplus?
You're saying that it's a good thing that we've taxed Americans more on imports?
We're not taxing Americans. We're taxing the overseas people.
I thought we agreed early that a tariff is an import tax.
Yeah, and we're incentivizing production here at home. Instead of having
to
import foreign
when Donald
beef,
Trump said he could shoot somebody on 5th Street or whatever and his audience will support him, you know, I maybe would have believed that. If Donald Trump would have said, I could find a way to tax working and middle-class Americans more and they'll believe me and they'll champion it, I would have never believed that. I can't believe people are defending the concept of raising money via what is honestly like a Democrat dream of having like a type of like an import tax, right? Like, oh my God, we're going to tariff everybody and make all sorts of money this way. It's not even that big of a dollar amount that he's raising compared to all the other money he's lost via the insane tax cuts on the one big beautiful bill. So it's not even a wash with all of his other horrible fiscal policies.
Do you disagree that by like taxing foreign products such as like foreign beef or foreign manufactured goods, whatever those may be, that it's not going to incentivize people to buy those goods locally, as opposed because you're saying, oh, it's a tax. Well, let's get incentivize local people to build and produce and expand their operations, and that's going to allow them to have more production here. So it
incentivizes local production, but at the cost of local consumers. It means that you're also going to have
in the short term, in the long term, it's going to be better off because
why would you assume that in the long term we can outcompete every single economy in the world on every single type of good?
Does it cost money to ship stuff from one country to another? Yeah, absolutely. If we cut that out because it's produced right here in America, of course the costs are going to go down.
So you think in the U.S. we can outcompete every single country on the planet on every single good?
I mean, it depends. Probably, yeah. I trust in America's production capabilities.
I don't even know what to say.
You were just saying we lead the way in technology.
Nobody believes that. That's impossible, and it won't happen. It won't happen at all.
So what is it? What is it? Is it that we're the leaders in technology and all this service stuff, we can be the leaders in production, and we can actually lead the world in this, and we are the current leaders? Or are you saying, no, that we're not actually the leaders that you're saying we're number one in?
No, we are the leaders when it comes to like end stage assembly and technology and service and like software. Like this is the stuff that we lead the world in. These are the envies of the world when it comes to production.
Well, so look at like H-E-B, and we mentioned Walmart earlier. Why is H-E-B the fastest growing grocer in the United States? Well, the reason why is because they have taken every step out of the way. They own their like cod farms out in Alaska. They own their lobster farms in Maine. They own their beef production facilities here in the United States. They sit here and they work when they go overseas for coffee. They own the coffee production, right? It's all built within their system, and they are eliminating the middlemen, and that's led to lower costs, even despite the tariffs, because guess what? They're an American company producing the goods here. I can point to numerous examples of this, That's what the Walmart model was. That, and I'm sitting here looking at this and I say, oh, you're saying this can't happen. And I'm saying I see businesses internalizing and excluding the overseas people all the time and benefiting. And you're saying, no, that can't happen. Well, why is it already happening then?
It's not happening to a large extent. There is a reason why
the fastest growing grocer in the United States is at a quick percent isn't a good example. What do you mean?
Do you think that the whole world is looking at Taiwan because Taiwan makes like the best car doors?
No, it's because they make the chips. But why? If we were sitting here,
which is an end stage advanced.
It's
not because they're mining silicon. It's not because they're out in the coal mines. It's not because
how big is Taiwan?
Pretty small.
Small, right? Like, okay. So I said I'm from Texas, right? Imagine if we just took all the counties that were the same size as Taiwan and started building facilities there, which they're already doing. Like, I don't see how we can't produce these in-game things like you're saying, as well as
because we don't want to build that. We want to do steel.
What, steel? I mean, sure, American steel is better than Chinese steel. Like,
if it's so much better, then why do Americans buy Chinese steel?
Well, if we put the tariffs on them, we can build it at a cheaper rate and faster here.
It won't happen. I don't know what to say.
You're just saying it won't happen, and I'm giving you examples of when it is happening, like HEB.
We don't have the people. We don't have the physical.
We don't have the people. What do you mean? Aren't you y'all the ones sitting here saying, oh, hey, we need all these illegal aliens for all these jobs because the Americans won't do them. I'm seeing poultry farms, like butchering facilities. They're hiring Americans now after they've cleared out all these legals. So it looks like we do have the people, and it's just kind of like inconvenient truth to you.
I don't know how to. There's if I were to ask you for an example, you wouldn't be able to give me a single one. If I were to ask you for there's just no world where we can outcompete the entire world on everything.
Yeah, I could give you
no
an example.
economy does it.
I give you an example right now. C&J Farms in Texas once again.
That's not a country.
Oh, a country. Oh, now we got to change it from companies to countries.
I'm asking about a country that tries to do everything. Some economies, in some ways, Germany has issues getting trapped in a manufacturing economy where they can't make.
Of Oklahoma. So that's a bad example.
I'm just saying that you can't make everything. There's a concept called comparative advantages. Some people do some things better than other people. Some economies are geared more towards the production of certain goods or services than other economies. If our unemployment is sub 5% and Donald Trump is obsessed with kicking a whole bunch of people out of the country, where are we expecting to invent all these people to take place of all these other things that we're importing from other countries? We just don't have the people for it.
Hold on. If we have a massive unemployment rate, then why
we don't have a massive unemployment rate?
Yeah, it seems like we have a lot of people unemployed or working on the gig economy, having to work 2 part-time jobs.
I don't know what it seems like is. I can't talk about it seems like. I can only go by the official reported numbers.
Just here, listen, it's pretty simple. When we go and look, we do have. You were just saying unemployment is climbing. If we're getting rid of illegal aliens, like Trump is trying to do, or stopping the flow of immigration, why wouldn't these people suddenly that are here not be getting hired? I mean, it seems like a no-brainer that you're going to hire here if you can't hire from overseas.
When I say unemployment is climbing, I mean it's getting back up to, and then it's going to go north of 5%. Not we're at 30%, so we can open every single new shop in the United States that we were importing from every other country.
I mean, hold on. Are you saying all these people that are sitting here working on welfare, living on welfare, they're sitting here?
I don't think there are that many people that are sitting here on welfare not working.
What? There's all sorts of people working on welfare that don't have full-time jobs. Unemployment, there's they get unemployment and whatnot. They don't go work. You literally have to go in there and just show that you apply for jobs just to get it. I remember when I was in college, I knew tons of friends sitting here living basically off unemployment, and they would just extend it for 6 months, and then they would go and get a job for 1 or 2 months, and then they would do it again. You can't tell me this isn't happening when I've seen it regularly my whole life. I know tons of people. I grew up poor. I saw this. This is what happens. And then when you're sitting here going, oh, it's not happening. It's not believable.
I can't speak to what you see. I live in Miami Beach. I see a bunch of people in swimsuits all the time, and I'm not going to go to Alaska and expect to see the same thing. It doesn't make any. I'm just saying that in 1 year, what are you looking for to see if everything is going as you would hope it's going in 1 year?
I'm looking at traceable data, and this is why I brought up I came in here specifically talking about the beef industry. It's something I'm familiar with the data, right? When you're sitting here going, oh,
well, no. So I'm just asking you. Don't worry about what I'm saying. I'm just asking you in 1 year. So if the export total of beef has decreased, would you consider that a Trump failure, or are we just not adjusted yet?
Say that again?
If our total animal agriculture exports have decreased, would you consider that a failure or?
Well, they are going to decrease over the next 2 years due to gestation rates, but then they're definitely going to be primed to increase due to how the cattle production.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
So cows, it takes about 2 years to get them from pre-production to the feeding lots and feed facilities before they can even be processed. So right now, based off with cattle, it's a really easy one to track. I could sit here and track based off where cows are in their production cycle nationwide. I could tell you within their reproduction cycle at what exact year.
Wait, you're telling me that in cow manufacturing, they don't stagger the gestation? All of them gestated the same cycle?
No, that's not what I'm saying. They do stagger it, so I can tell you exactly how long it's going to take based off economic indicators. And that's why I'm saying within 3 years, we're going to see our first growth in herds since the 1950s. So when I'm sitting here saying, oh, hey, I've seen exact production, exact changes that are benefiting Americans, like with ranching, I can sit here and point to an exact data point. And this is why when you're sitting here saying, oh, the stats for this, and I'm arguing over the stats, and we're sitting there arguing over definitions, or we're arguing over hey, how much unemployment is, I go, hey, well, there's good liars, bad liars, and statistics. That's kind of what you're doing right here. And I think it's kind of like not really being honest whenever I can look at something like ranching and I can point to an exact data set that's going to change based off established principles and established economic conditions. And with cattle, for example, I know exactly it's going to take 3 years based off of the changes that have happened in the 6 months. And it's very simple. And so there's not going to be a change unless something crazy happens that'll,
Okay. I guess we'll see where we're at in a year. But I mean, right now, for CPI and stuff, a cost of a basket of goods, everything has gone up except eggs that came down because of the whatever egg price having. But everything else has gone up in terms of average costs. Housing prices are still going up. Cost of education is still going up. Now we're paying import taxes on everything we get from other countries. Maybe in a year, the cow gestation will save us because of all the beef agriculture, maybe. But it just looks like every indicator right now is bad. We're always 2 weeks away from any actual trade deal from other countries, even though we keep saying things. And now we're having to spend a bunch of money on soybean farmers because Venezuela and China are screwing us because we don't know how to manage any of our trade policy.
Let me just ask you this, because you keep saying we're 2 weeks away from trade. If, say, no trade deal signed, but they suddenly match our standards, is that not a net benefit?
It should be enunciated in a trade deal. I don't know if I would consider that a benefit because it could change at any time.
Okay, so wait, hold on. Every country has the right to govern themselves, right?
Kind of. It depends on what you mean by that.
So, whoever's in charge of the country, whether it's a dictator, whether it's a democracy, whether it's a republic, whether it's whatever, somebody have a governing body that makes the rules, right?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, okay. And so then, if they have a governing body that makes the rules, they can change those rules at any given time, correct?
No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, because
wait,
just here in the United States...
Are you a free person who can do what they want with their time, assuming you're not breaking the law?
Sure, but
You can say that, but what if we sign a contract? That's why you have contracts, is so that you can hold people to deals so that they're enforcing them in the future. I wouldn't want to be on a friend deal with a country for something as important as trade, because you yourself said it, a lot of these industries have to ramp up and ramp down.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're in business, then there's such thing as a good faith gesture, right? If I'm going into business with somebody for credit card processing, right? And I go in there and I'm like, hey, I'm going to give you the, POS machine for free, and and you're going to sit here and you're going to get this rate, and I give you the POS system, and I give you a trial period before you have to sign it, you would agree that's indicating that you're going to be going along with the deals that we're going to be making, correct?
You would never sign a contract on or you would never operate on good faith like that. I think you would always want something in writing.
But this is international diplomacy, though. This is different.
Well, no, if you want to talk about diplomacy, America's lost all good faith with the tariff war. We destroyed that.
No. These countries have been taking advantage for a while.
They haven't been taking advantage of us.
Yes, they are. You're sitting here, we're acting they absolutely have. Whenever they have standards that exclude us from a market, how do you think that's not taking advantage of us?
I thought you just said countries have the right to regulate their own country and
that's
decide
my
what they
point.
want to import or export.
You're sitting here saying that, oh, hey, you have to be a contract. At least when I see somebody put in an office in another country and they're sitting here trying to make strides and change regulations at the local level.
If you think that there are unfair things like that, why didn't Trump just go out and negotiate that?
That's what he's doing.
No, that's not what he's doing. He tariffed
how
everybody.
long do you think a deal takes to make? They take months.
Apparently, a lot longer than Trump thought, because he said we'd have 100 deals in 100 days, and so far we have 0.
I mean, it seems like a lot of these people have been coming and dealing with him. To me, I don't know.
Doesn't seem like that to me. Again, we're past 100 days and we have 0 deals. Where are all of the trade deals? They're nowhere.
They're all over the place.
They're
we got
nowhere.
Panama, we got the UK, we got the EU
They're
deal
not
going
materialized yet. We have to mute.
we got the tariffs. China are higher than they've ever been, while theirs are equal to what they were before.
They're not equal to what they were before.
We have a surplus from the tariffs as well.
We don't have a surplus. We're still in a massive economic
we don't
deficit.
have a surplus.
Just checking in, guys.
Yeah,
we have about 5 minutes left there, Mr. Gibbs.
Hey, there you go.
Sorry, I had to. Is there anything you wanted to touch on with Destiny for maybe 5 more minutes?
No, I mean, I did want to say I thought this was kind of interesting. Y'all were just talking about the political violence thing, and I was making sure I brought my helmet and checked out upstairs before I came out here. But I think that I'm glad you said that. Honestly, I think that it has motivated people on the conservative side to go out and talk, and I encourage you to do more of these debates. I will give you much credit for going and talking to people, because I know that it's a lot of people will just comment and they don't want to put their money where their mouth is. I mean, do you think that the heightened environment overall is going to be something that continues, or do you think that these recent like violent activities are going to like be a shock thing that are going to make people go away.
I think it'll continue until President Trump tells everybody to calm down.
Do you think that people will like even listen to him? I mean, I don't.
He got everybody to ignore the Epstein files. I think he'll get everybody to tone the violence down if he wanted to, yeah. But I think he likes it. I think conservatives kind of enjoy the environment.
They enjoy them. I mean, I don't think so. Every time I've ever heard someone do something on like conservative side, say a conservative guy kills somebody, everybody on the conservative side, yeah, that was terrible. Put him in the meat chipper, the wood chipper, right? I've never heard anybody sitting there like glorifying, except for like maybe like I don't know, the Klan or somebody, which is not representative.
Well, I mean, if it's one of theirs, they memory hole it and they never talk about it. If it's a left-wing person, then of course they go crazy about it.
What do you mean? They talk about the Timothy McVeigh all the time and say how terrible he was.
This is decades ago, right?
Sure.
What was the one? Was it Abbott who pardoned the guy who killed the? Was it a BLM protester? I think like you had Trump pardoning all the J6ers. He thought that violence was epic. You had. I
mean, the January 6th one seems kind of controversial now with all the FBI stuff coming out. But I mean, like.
Well, nothing came out to be clear.
I mean, sure, that's fair. We can argue about that later. But I'm saying like specifically, whenever I'm looking and I talk about this ticky-tack word game BS, I just saw the other day that the Pulse Club, my club shooter is considered a right-wing violence, and I'm just like, this guy represents the right wing, like. I don't know about that one. I feel like there's been a dishonest framing, and I don't think that Trump coming out and saying everybody needs to calm down is actually going to do anything. I think that's dishonest as well. Like they actually believe that.
Well, then no one on the left saying anything shouldn't do anything either, right? If literally none of our speech matters at all, I don't understand how crazy it is that I don't understand how you can say that. You don't believe that. There's no way you believe what you just said. You don't think Donald Trump making a statement that everybody should calm down. You think that would have no impact on the environment whatsoever.
I mean, maybe some. I don't think that. I think that it's going to be like kind of turned against them. It's just like whenever he was like with the Proud Boys or whatever, he's like, calm down, stand by, whatever. Some people interpret it as, oh, he's going to have his own private army. To most conservatives, it's like, he's like saying chill out. I feel like anything he does is just going to be framed as.
Yeah, but when he said that, everybody understood it as like, fuck shit up, right?
Do you disagree that anything he says is going to be turned into like I don't know, some kind of meme? Like
no, I think it's very obvious. Like when you listen to Biden speak, it was obvious he wanted everybody to calm down. When Donald Trump said stand back and stand by.
Hold on, Biden said he wanted he wouldn't be upset if he got taken out one time. I mean, what do you mean? Like
no, he did not say that. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. Not only did he not say that, but you can look at all of his actions and providing additional Secret Service members and increasing security for even his political opponents or reaching out.
If they increase the security and put the C team on him and they get two people taking pot shots at him, I don't know if that's really increasing the security just because you throw more bodies, but you put like the B team out there.
I mean, he's doing what it's not like Biden himself is out there securing the events.
No, nobody wants that.
But I'm saying as opposed to Biden is providing for additional security and Trump is trying to rescind Secret Service protections, additional ones from every single person he can. He's done that. And I mean, the way that Donald Trump talks about, he went on stage after Erica and was like, well, unlike Charlie Kirk, I hate all my political opponents. It's kind of unhinged to say.
Is it though? I mean, like, I feel like there's a lot of hate. Like, just coming on here, I got
hate.
Yeah,
it comes from him.
You get hate from all the people all the time. We all get hate. Like, just
yeah, but there's a difference from the president saying it.
I mean, is there though? I mean, he's one. Like that's part of what people like about him is that he.
Yeah, is that he's hateful.
No, it's that he's a regular person that you could talk to.
I don't want a regular person. I want somebody who's better than a regular person. The president of the United States.
You say that, but I feel like the part of being the president is that anybody can be president. That's really the myth. The myth of the United States is that hey, little Timmy could go up and become the president.
Anybody can be president. Isn't the same thing as saying everybody can be president. If you're in a dire situation, you're not looking around and it's like I got the 6'2" jack guy. I've got the guy with all the military general experience, and I got the everyman. I want the ordinary dude to lead us through the zombie apocalypse? What do you mean?
So you're arguing for an elite oligarchy that runs the United States? That's crazy.
Well, no. If I was arguing for an elite oligarchy to run the United States, I would support Trump and Elon.
No, that's
not what I'm arguing for. I'm saying that the president of the United States should have
anybody. If it can't be anybody, then you want someone specific that you think is special or higher than the rest.
Do you think a mentally retarded person should be president?
Wait, say that again.
Do you think a mentally retarded person should be president?
Probably not. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'm okay with excluding.
Should child rapist be president?
A what?
Child rapist be president?
No, I mean obviously not.
Foreign national, a Martian. So not everybody should be president, right?
I mean,
we want the best of the best, right?
That's bad faith. I mean, you know that I'm talking about an average American citizen. I'm not sitting here talking about, Tiny Tim from that, the orphanage that's, been dropped on his head 30 times. I don't think anybody here thinks I'm saying that. Nobody's talking about Pedo Joe hanging out in the bathroom somewhere. Like, nobody's talking about that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the average person that can grow up and come from any social class and become the American president. Yeah, I think
the average person that can come from any social class to be president
Yeah, I
And your
think that's
example is
something people-
Donald Trump, the
No,
multimillionaire
it's not
real estate
one, is
mogul
it?
from New York City.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's actually a point that I think you're making right here. It's a good one, is that he's not in the political elite. He comes from the rich elite. And, it's just this big step that we've got with somebody coming from just the economic class instead of this elite political class. I think it's a baby step in the right direction.
The guy that was at all the Clintons' weddings and was making daily trips to Epstein's Island was not part of the elite
we're
political
gonna
class.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Now we're sitting here equating the Epstein thing. I mean, listen, if the Epstein thing matters so much, the Dems would have nailed him with it when they had all the files. But they didn't do it because they knew he didn't have anything. And just like with Jillian Maxwell said he didn't have it, none of the fucking victims have said that he's got these
If we're going to run with that logic, then if the Republicans had anything on Comey or Barack Obama related to the FBI hunt, then they would have released it in 2016 to 2020.
They tried, but the little Dem operatives that were already working, they've sit here and stopped them at every turn. We've seen that even just now. He's not cleared out all these people that are
There's
working
still a
against him.
deep state. There's still how deep does the state go?
I don't know about how there's a deep state. Those are your words, not mine. But I'm thinking that
Those are not my words. Those are Trump's words. Those are the words of the Republican administration for the past 10 years.
We could call it a deep state, but you and I both know that there's always people at each side in trenches whenever they get in charge, and those people that are for holdovers from other administrations are working against it. If that's a deep state, so be it. But you can't deny that there are people that are in power right now that are working against his agenda when he pushed stuff forward. Yeah, I would argue that it's taken him a while to get rid of some of those people, get people in place so that we can do some research on this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he can indefinitely blame whatever the deepest of the deep state, the deepest of the Loch Ness swamp monster, whatever he wants to call it. But I mean, at the end of the day, going back to where we started here, just the idea that you would want the president to just be like an ordinary person that would succumb to his emotions, it betrays all of like U.S. history. Like nobody was like, oh, George Washington, he was like a normal soldier that just marched across the field and shot a dude and then went home. It was like he crossed the Delaware. He was an amazing man. He did crazy stuff. Like I feel like we generally want to advocate for our presidents to be like really exceptional men, not just ordinary people thrust into the limelight. We'll see how they respond, and it'll be like an epic episode of The Apprentice.
A lot of these people in history were regular people that got thrust in the limelight. You can look at Andrew Jackson. He was just a regular soldier that moved his way up the ranks.
They
you
rose
brought up
to the
George
occasion.
Washington. We could look at Ulysses S. Grant. We could look at tons of people. Abe Lincoln was just a random hick from the backwoods that got really good at public speaking. He came up the ranks. Like there's plenty of examples in history of these. Davy Crockett.
But these people made something of themselves and then were elected president. I'm just all of this to go back even a step further. I would expect good conduct from the president of the United States.
I mean, hold on. Are you saying...
I can't believe this is controversial.
It's
because his behavior is indefensible.
We've had plenty of presidents that have said, that, we hate our enemies throughout...
No, we don't.
I mean, FDR was sitting here talking about the evils of Nazism and then communism.
Nazism?
Yeah.
What does it say about you if that's an offensive statement?
No, I'm not saying it's offensive. I'm not. Hold on. First of all, I'm saying that you said that there's groups that they hate.
Yeah, the Nazis were an enemy of the United States of America.
The communists. We have
a country that was.
We have presidents saying they hate the Russians back in the day. We have presidents saying they hate all these. These are if these are their enemies, why wouldn't they say they hate them? I feel like
there's a difference between the enemies being foreign nationalists versus your domestic citizens.
Wait, hold on. We have domestic people that believe in all these things. You don't believe we should hate these people that have these evil beliefs? So you're pro.
It's all the same to you.
Are you pro being friends with the Klan and being like, we should never have the president say he hates the Klan or he hates the Nazis?
After this election, I'm just saying that from the same people who said that Obama saying Trayvon Martin looks like me, to have that brain break like half the conservative movement for indefinite periods of time, to come out and say, actually, I don't care at all what the president says. It's all epic and based. That's just astounding to me.
All right. That's,
give him the last word. Give him the last word. Give him the last word. He can have the last word.
I was just going to say that's 5 minutes, guys. No, we'll give you the last. We'll give you the last word there, Mr. Gibbs.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, thanks for debating with me. It was fun. And
where can people come and debate you?
You can find me anywhere as Admiral Gibbs on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, all the good stuff. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Everyone, show up and debate Mr. Gibbs. Give him a round of applause. Thanks. Thank you so much.
The far left is nothing more than a coalition of fragmented groups standing on a platform of pure hypocrisy.
Okay.
That's my belief.
Can I ask, when you say the far left, who are we talking about
These
here?
people right here in this room.
Okay. Okay, so help me sort this one out, okay? Because this is my common rebuttal, okay? So when I ask people, who are the far left, okay, I get an answer like this, okay?
Right.
But then when they ask me and I talk about the far right, I would say the same about, Congress. So, I feel like as much as I love my fans and you guys are powerful, I don't know the capacity for changing the character of the United States or California or even LA, but for Republicans, I feel like they're changing the character of the entire country at an accelerated rate in a way that I really don't like. How can I make these two things equally threatening? Make me care about crazy college kids that are far left?
Well, the youth are the future, right? That's what we've been taught since we were born. The children are the future. So the reason why the far left leaning college kids are an issue is because these are the people who old people like me will hand this country over to. And we're in a time where, it's an unprecedented access to new information, right? So you pretty much can go out and find something that supports what you want to believe within 2 or 3 seconds or minutes. It wasn't like that in the 60s. It wasn't like that in the 70s or the 80s. People had to actually go search for, they had to go do research. You had to go to a library, open a book, and when you're searching to find what you want to believe, like support for what you want to believe, oftentimes you'll find things that go against what you believe, but they make a lot of sense, right? Research is necessary. Now you put on TikTok, you got 100 people, an echo chamber saying exactly what you're thinking, and you really don't have a need to do any type of research, and that's the age we're in.
Sure, so I don't necessarily disagree with some of that. I mean, I would say that every age brings with it like access to information in ways that we didn't have before, right? And, the printing press and radio and then TV. I think was Vietnam the one that they called the TV war, or whatever, the first, where you had people that had like video footage of soldiers coming back wounded and stuff, and you had a lot of college kids protesting that. For Iraq, that might have been the first time we had like embedded units where we were getting like reports like on the ground and video footage and everything, and now we're seeing 4K drone high def footage of people blowing each other up in Ukraine, Russia, Gaza, Israel. I do agree the information is increasing. The one thing I guess I don't like or that I'm confused about when it comes to college stuff, when I look at like kids who are 18 to 22, aren't you supposed to be like kind of stupid? Isn't that like the time of your life to be crazy? Because if I talk to some like 20-year-old kid and I was like, tell me about your political outlook, and he's like, well, I'm a strong supporter of institutions and fiscal responsibility. I'm like, God damn, this is the most boring fucking household ever, right? Like, aren't they always like crazy? Isn't that normal?
Well, Kamala Harris said the same thing about college kids being stupid, and look what happened to her. She didn't get elected, right? College kids are not stupid. They're in school for a reason. You know who's stupid? People sitting out on drugs, doing crime. They're stupid. College kids are in an age of where they're learning, and they're trying to grow into people who can like facilitate the continued prosperity of this country. Mm-hmm. The problem is we're not giving them a chance to learn through experience what older people like their parents already know.
What do you think is... So I do agree that college kids, for demographic reasons, and like if you're going to college, you're probably a little bit more intelligent. You go there to get more intelligent. Like I agree with that. Have you ever played like board games or whatever?
Have I ever played board games?
Well, there's sometimes people are making like role-playing games. They've got like intelligence and you got like wisdom. Right. Some people might call like street smarts or book smarts or whatever. However people are life experience, common sense versus knowing things. Like college kids can be smart, but oh my God, they can also be fucking stupid, right? Like you'll see like a guy who's 22, graduating college, maybe 21 early, like drunk driving or making the dumbest decision ever for the first time, crashes his car, gets his girlfriend pregnant, whatever stuff. Because like, man, their kids are dumb, they make dumb mistakes, they do that, it'll happen. There's no way, like part of the learning experience is making those mistakes and being crazy and being cringe, isn't it?
Yeah, so, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg's not stupid. He was that age at one point, and he created $1 billion company. The more access you have to information, the less ignorant you are of what's going on. I could see the college kid, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something, like back in those days, you kind of were expected to be a little bit dumb and gullible. But now people have information, they have answers to things at the touch of a button. I don't think they're as ignorant or as stupid as we would like them to be.
But I mean, like,
I think the Democrats banked on that, and it like blew up in their face. And I think that's one of the hypocritical aspects of the far left, is that they expect everyone to be so dumb that they don't actually think, about the issues that they're expected to go vote on. And they just take somebody like Maxine Waters' word for it, somebody like Kamala Harris. Like, I don't think Kamala Harris is smarter than the average 21-year-old college student, honestly. They can string a sentence together. She can't.
Kamala Harris, if she can't string a sentence together, I have no idea how much you're paying for Trump translations, because there's no way you can understand anything that guy's saying. But like, okay, but let me just back up one more time to this, and then we can move on to the next thing. Do you have any kids?
Yeah.
You ever
Do
have, yeah. You ever have somebody who doesn't have kids try to tell you how to be a parent?
Here's the real question.
Yeah.
Do they?
No. Well, most of them probably don't.
So-
but I'm just saying that, like, no matter how smart somebody is, every parent's had that experience where somebody who doesn't have kids is there telling them, what they're doing. And it's not about them being smart or stupid or whatever. It's just they don't have the experience, the lived
This is
experience,
why
right?
your premise is totally bad faith, because your audience is a bunch of people who don't deal with the everyday struggles that you and I deal with. So you can talk. Hold on. You can talk to them. Listen. Do you know how much I care about an illegal criminal alien immigrant when my daughter says, "Hey, Dad, I need $4,000 for volleyball, club volleyball"? I'm like, I don't care about that. This is my issue that I have to deal with today. And when they have kids and they have to deal with paying for daycare, feeding those kids, providing a place for those kids to live, they're gonna care a lot less about some guy in El Salvador getting due process when he's a criminal and he should be deported immediately.
It depends on what your lived experience is,
No,
though, right?
no.
Like when I was growing up, okay, there were family members of mine that were criminal illegal immigrants because half of my family comes from Cuba. But now the difference is my mom loves the illegal immigrants from Cuba. She doesn't like the ones from South America or from Mexico.
Cubans traditionally hate illegals.
Well, once they're here, they do.
Of course, that's the way it's supposed to be.
I'm just saying, you can't say, you want to say Cubans hate illegals. They all wanted Elian Gonzalez to stay when he floated over.
He was legal.
No, he wasn't. They
Soon
caught him
as
in
you
they were
touch the
illegally
soil.
immigrating. Wait. They were immigrating illegally.
Okay. But did he touch the soil?
So do asylum seekers.
No. You're being disingenuous. There was a law where Cuban immigrants.
Yes, we had us, but
they
wet foot,
touched
dry
the
foot,
soil,
I
they're
understand.
legal. So let what's his name? Elian Gonzalez. Hey, let him stay. I want him to stay because that was the law of the land. So that's the difference.
But we're not talking about just what the no. We're not talking about just what the law is. I'm just saying that people can have different.
We're not talking about the laws.
We're not talking about just what the law is.
Oh, just what the laws.
No.
Well, that's what I live my life based on.
Well, we can change the laws, right?
You can, so go vote. Stop complaining.
We can do both. I have a First Amendment and the right to vote.
And
but I'm just
support
saying it's interesting to give so much credence to Cuban immigrants, but not
Love
to
them.
people from Mexico or South America.
Don't love them as much.
Why?
Because the Cubans believe what I believe. And they
So do a
understand
lot
what
of
I
Mexican
understand.
immigrants and everything too.
And I love those Mexican legal citizens.
Sure,
But as far as the illegal immigrants, ship them back.
Sure. Okay. That's a perspective.
This is a very simple thing to understand.
Well, it's not as simple. It's a complicated conversation.
It's really not.
If it was so simple, then Trump wouldn't have failed miserably in it for his first 4 years, and we wouldn't go these 4 years without him also failing miserably in it. By the end of these 4 years, Trump will not have any immigration legislation, number one, and he won't deport more than 1 million or 2 million people, number two. I guarantee you by the end of these 4 years.
That's totally fine. So why are you guys using that as a political talking point? If
Well,
Trump
I'm not. You wanted to bring it to legal immigration, so that's what we're
what
talking
you're
about.
actually afraid of is that what's going to happen is the same thing that happened with Kamala Harris during the campaign. Trump came up with a good idea that gained a lot of traction when it came to getting votes, and Kamala Harris jumped on it. No tax on tips. You're afraid that the Democrats will adopt Trump's policies because they are the policies that resonate with voters. So you have to take the college kids, the people with no real responsibility yet. I'm not trying to devalue you guys' experience. I'm just telling you, have you ever looked at a freaking mortgage that was like $5,000? Have you ever? Most people have not at this stage in their life.
Yeah, but people aren't voting all the
And
time
that's
on
when you get them
wisdom.
young.
I saw Republicans celebrating the fact that they were going to have a tax deduction on the interest rate that you pay on a car loan.
I saw you
None of
guys
these people have
celebrate-
any idea what this even means that they were celebrating it. So the idea that people have some nuanced understanding of tax brackets.
Republicans celebrate a tax on car loan. I saw you guys celebrate some dude getting shot in the neck and make a joke and laugh about it.
What?
Which one is worse?
I would say the one that's worse is the president tweeting videos of Venezuelans getting
The
blown up
one
in the
that-
ocean. Wait, do you acknowledge that if celebrating the Charlie Kirk thing is bad, the Venezuelan thing is real bad?
The Venezuelan issue, why is that bad for me as an American?
Wait, do you not care when other people are killed?
Do you know that people in other countries don't give a damn about what happens to you in America?
I don't
Have you
care.
been
This
around
is
the world,
our
Destiny?
government. Yes, I have. This is our government blowing up other people. Why am I not allowed to care about that?
But you care about the government and what they do when it's something you don't like. But when when the leadership of the government is duly elected, you go and you tear at the validity of it as if, like, you don't respect the government, so why care about what they're doing?
If Biden was also
Overthrow it with the
if
insurrection
Biden,
like
if
January
Biden, yeah, I know
6th.
you guys tried that and failed once.
I
If
know.
Biden was doing this, if
We
Biden
failed.
was doing it, I would criticize Biden as well. I know it's inconceivable to MAGA sometimes. You could hold your own accountable because you guys are incapable of doing it. But when Biden does bad things, I'll criticize Biden for doing bad
Can
things.
you answer one question for me?
Sure.
Who's sitting in the White House?
Right now, probably Stephen Miller.
So
What do you mean?
Go on. So clearly we didn't fail. We were pissed off. We went down.
Wait, what is this? The conversation is not about who won the election. You
Why
guys
not?
are the ones that don't believe election
Your
results.
whole
I do believe the election results.
Your whole existence is about who won the election. This whole event is about
No,
who won the election.
we're having a conversation about policy and leadership right now, right?
We are, because I said the hypocrisy, and you're showing that hypocrisy.
What is the
price of-
hypocrisy?
Look, you have a kid, I have a kid. What's the price of eggs right now?
I don't know. I'm rich.
That's something that Yes. So give me some money.
You know what I do know is that the price of groceries as a whole has gone up over the last year, and no conservatives talking about it. Explain that one for
Hey,
me.
you know, I've been tracking that.
Okay.
We're living in inflationary times.
Oh, now they're just inflationary times.
Listen,
It's interesting that from 2020 to 2024, it was Biden's inflation. From
I love it.
2024 to now, it just is a thing that happens.
it's directly connected to Biden's horrible management of the government, and Trump's going to fix it. Let me say
What was
this.
the big thing? Wait, what do you think was what do you think was the number one thing that contributed to inflation through Biden's presidency?
I believe that, well, one thing was killing a bunch of chickens due to some mysterious.
That's
Well, that was
strike
Biden's
one.
reason.
Try
That
something
was
else. Try something else.
that
What
was
did anything else happen?
Is that not? Is that
Did
not-
anything else happen?
Wait, before
Yeah.
we go forward, is that not the reason that Biden said the price of eggs went up? Because they had to kill a bunch of chickens.
At one point in time, it might have been, but that's not what we're talking about. For the majority of his presidency, especially in the beginning,
So,
and then 2022 onwards, where were these big inflation hikes coming from? What were the two huge events that happened?
What I believe was.
Do we not know?
No, let me tell you. This is what my research that I did, because I'll be honest with you, I
Okay.
wasn't deep diving
That's
into
fine.
this because I was working to feed my family.
Okay.
Okay. But I believe the price of energy increased exponentially.
Okay.
And that creates it has a cascade effect. It raises the price of everything. Everything has to be shipped. If you raise the price of energy, then everything that has to be shipped, the price will go up.
Okay. I'm about to do a magic trick. Ready?
We know you're
about to do a magic trick. Ready?
Make that disappear
So
for all these
I'm
people.
curious.
All right.
Why was the last year of Trump's presidency so horrible for the economy?
COVID. It was.
Okay. So the whole world economy is shut down.
Mm-hmm.
The government is having to keep things running in every country. Why can we blame COVID for Donald Trump's last year on COVID, but we can't also recognize the worldwide inflation that happened? Did Biden cause inflation in all the other countries too?
Biden caused inflation in America by locking everything down, bringing the American economy basically to a standstill. We should have kept doing. Let me tell you this: during COVID, right? I still could fly from America to Africa. I did it 4 times during COVID. KLM was still flying in, the airports were still moving, everybody's going everywhere. I could still walk into Costco, Rouse, and Stater Brothers, but I couldn't go into a mom and pop store to buy something because they had to shut down due to COVID. I couldn't go to a small restaurant, while Gavin Newsom's restaurant, the French Laundry, stayed open. The small business is the engine of America. When you shut them down, you shut the economy down. Corporations don't employ more people than small businesses. So I like your question. I think it was asked in bad faith, but that's how Biden shut down
I don't think my question was
the
asked in bad faith. I'll
Let me-
also
let-
remark that it was interesting that you mentioned having to work through COVID to pay for your family, and the cost of eggs is important to you.
Oh, yeah.
But you know the name of an international airline, and you flew to Africa 4 times during COVID. I don't know where.
Work hard.
That's
Prices-
working hard, yeah, okay, but I'm
That's-
just saying that everybody around the world was figuring out how to deal with COVID. There were a lot of shutdowns. There was a lot of worldwide there was a lot of inflation everywhere. It's just strange that, when I'm asking, well, why for Biden? What happened in the United States? Well, it was like the
just
after
told
effects
you.
of COVID was happening, right?
Biden came in immediately, signed a bunch of executive orders that halted our economy. And then
That things were already shutting down under Trump.
No, what? What was shutting down under Trump?
Everything.
No, don't say everything. Tell me what was
Schools, businesses. I lived in California. Did you live here? Do you live in California?
Yes, I do. Schools are not business.
When COVID started, everything was shut down. I drove up and down the 5. I could go 10 miles in 10 minutes for the first time in my life in this
Destiny-
state. Who remembers this?
De-
Everything was shut down.
Destiny,
Hold on. I
you're
remember the
doing the
lines
Destiny
outside
thing.
the grocery store. I lived in Culver City. I remember the lines outside the grocery stores, right? We had to line up to get groceries. That was
Right.
all of that under
Do
Trump.
you know why they had to line up?
Because Biden did it from the future? Was it the T-1000?
Because the small... No. That's because people were going in...
Under Trump.
No, but you know what was happening. People were fighting over
If
groceries.
Trump didn't shut down the economy, then why did COVID hurt his economy at all?
Down the economy. Okay, look, like I said, the whole... you asked me a question. Can I ask you a question?
You haven't answered any of my questions.
I really did.
Can we acknowledge that
I explained the thing about
all the
small
shutdowns and all that
businesses.
stuff happened? That was under Donald Trump.
No, that was not. I don't know.
He was the president in 2020.
What did Trump shut down? Please tell me.
All the
What
states
border?
that shut down.
The states are sovereign. So
Then why does Biden get blamed for
Wait a
anything?
minute. Can I finish?
Sorry, go ahead.
Can I finish?
You can finish.
Okay. The blue states shut down, draconian lockdowns. The red states, most of them did not. So that's the sovereignty of the state. But when Biden came into office, Biden was putting the pressure on the states to shut down. He was putting the pressure on the businesses, on the states to lock down. So when the president says something, that gives validity to the illegal things that the states are doing. If Gavin Newsom is doing illegal shutdowns, if the president says, yeah, you should shut down, now it's easier for them to do because people look at
Then
look
why
at it
didn't
like the
Donald Trump
president
just tell all the
supports it.
states to open up?
He did.
No,
he was
didn't.
telling.
No.
He was encouraging
No,
them.
he wasn't. The United States declared
Destiny-
a global. This was one of Trump's biggest. I know we forget
All right.
because we like to wipe the past. Donald Trump's biggest accomplishments was him shutting down flights from China and recommending people, take precautionary measures. Everybody blamed Cuomo in New York for murdering all the old people by
But-
sending grandma to an old person's home or whatever.
But didn't the Democrats argue that Trump didn't shut down flights in time? That's how COVID got into America.
Sure, because you could argue that
No,
you
which
could have
one
made
do
it
you
earlier.
want? Do you
Hold
want
on,
to
no,
shut it
wait.
down or
I'm
not?
not. You're talking about what the Democrats said.
No,
I'm talking
you're
about
bringing-
factually what happened.
I'm bringing up what. Listen,
I'm just talking about what happened.
I was in Frankfurt Airport when Donald Trump shut down all flights coming from Europe into the United States. And I watched as airlines flew people into Canada and they went around Trump's rule.
Okay, so if
his
Donald Trump was
order.
shutting down flights, wouldn't you say that counts as pressure to shut down the economy?
Because the Democrats were they were on one side. Okay, so on one hand,
Okay.
you want the flight shut down.
We're
When
not
Trump-
talking about what I want. I'm just talking about what happened.
No, I'm talking about the hive mind.
You're talking
The
about
hive
anything
mind.
but what would give Trump
I'm talking
accountability
about-
for anything.
You guys all think the same, so I'm just addressing you as general.
You
So,
said we all think the same. I literally predicted
should
like
Trump
two of your
have
answers
shut it-
so far.
Let me
Like,
ask you a
what do mean?
question.
Yeah.
Should Trump have shut it down, or should Trump have left it open?
I don't know what Trump necessarily should have done.
that's why I
no,
said
no.
it's
Let me
bad- it's
finish.
bad faith. It's
Can I
bad
finish
faith.
my? I let you
I
finish.
don't know.
I don't know what the answer should have been, but I know what the process should have looked
What
like.
would you
and
have
that
done?
was the process should have been him conferring with the National Institute of Health, the CDC, and him conferring with the state governments to put together some kind of comprehensive guidelines for the whole country instead of hanging out Fauci to dry, watching the CDC and the NIH issue some kind of guidelines, and then whenever anything didn't go perfectly as planned, him lobbing grenades from the side like a loser, blaming everybody else for all of his problems.
We're not going to disrespect the president. We all watched the video. We all watched the video of Anthony Fauci saying, "Oh, COVID-19 is not a big deal. You get a little flu. You might have a little cough, sneeze, whatever."
That was Trump.
That was
When
no.
Donald Trump.
There is a video. I watched it with my own eyes. Fauci dismissed COVID as a very minor thing. Later on, and Trump went with Fauci's advice. Then when they start saying, then all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, he should have shut this down and shut that down." I saw the trick. I saw how they went from saying it wasn't a big thing to worry about, and then all of a sudden it was the worst thing ever. But what I'm telling you is the arguments are in bad faith. Everything in this movement is built on inclusivity, equity, and justice, all this crap, right? But my thing is this: if we want inclusive, like, would you guys agree you want inclusivity and equity and all that? You guys don't want that.
Not anymore.
Do you guys want? I'm asking this question. I'm asking this question sincerely. This isn't good. Do they believe in that? Do you guys believe in that? Inclusivity, equity?
The problem is
No,
this
I'm
conversation has pivoted to a DEI question after your president killed
This
like
is what
a million
they
plus
believe in.
Americans, killed a million plus Americans by telling them not to get
You're
vaccinated
here
because nobody had any idea what was going on in this country, what was going on with our health, what was going on with anything because of all the lies and misinformation and crazy stuff that was being put out.
So you don't know what Trump should have done, but you criticize what he did. And what I do, because this is how my parents raised me, I put myself in that person's shoes.
I told you what the process should have looked like. I don't know what the correct answer
I'm
was.
asking you, what would you have done?
I just told you.
No, you didn't.
You bring your cabinet, your leaders together, you make a comprehensive plan, you get all the governors on board with it, and then you have a unified plan from top to bottom for how you want to approach the country shutdown.
How do you do that when you have a two-party system where one side is vehemently opposed to working with you on anything. And I'm not saying.
Hold on, wait, excuse me. First of all, Donald Trump billed himself as the negotiator.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, you want to talk about a party that was opposed to everything? Seems like Biden had no problem bringing Republicans in to work on his legislation. When McConnell was the leader of the Senate, he said that he was going to make Obama a one-term president and shut down every piece of legislation that came across his desk.
Right.
So who's working with who here?
I think that there's room for bipartisanship. I do not believe that the Democrats were working in good faith with Trump because they were not happy that an outsider actually achieved the office of president like Trump did. They literally blocked Trump on so many different things. They basically were doing the same thing to Trump that you said was being done to Biden.
I don't even want to know what you're implying.
Okay,
what
yeah.
was the saying.
So this is the thing.
When I'm saying it, first of all, Trump is not an outsider. Also, so
He's
Wharton
an
graduate,
outsider. He was not a
billionaire guy,
politician.
real estate investor.
He wasn't a politician.
So I mean, I don't know. Reagan initially wasn't a politician. What do you mean? Arnold Schwarzenegger was an actor. He made
Some of the best. The
I
best
think
were
people,
all outsiders.
When I see a guy who's being an asshole, I think people probably don't like him because he's an asshole.
What does being an asshole have to do with anything?
With whether or not people like you?
Are you not going to go to work because your boss is an asshole?
There's a lot of people that quit their job because they hate their boss. Yeah.
No,
what do you mean?
Those people are idiots. But what I'm telling you is, this is more like the lane that I argue in. Reality. You're arguing feelings, subjective crap that doesn't mean anything. Objectivity. If I want to argue something objective, this is about inclusivity, equity, all that stuff. Why did you guys have to pay? If it's all about inclusivity and equity, we could have did this in the park with an iPhone.
If you want to talk about
you
facts,
should donate your money to their colleges, like scholarship.
If you want to talk,
I think you should donate the proceeds of this event.
Right now, I'm donating my money and my taxes so we can pay for a Venezuelan bailout. That's what we're doing right now, or Argentinian bailout. I don't even know who we're bailing out right now. Okay.
You would like what?
So that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm subsidizing all of the meth head, measles infected red states right now. That's where my tax money is going. Okay. I don't have any extra money right now to donate. Okay.
Statement?
What?
May I please make one statement?
Go ahead.
And I'll get off stage.
No, wait, hold on, wait. I have more questions. Why, if you want to talk about facts over feelings, why is it that when we ask about Trump's leadership through COVID, we have a million excuses for?
I don't have any excuses.
So he failed.
I'm not going to say he failed. I think he dealt with. No, listen. How can someone who admitted that they don't know what they would have done and they don't know what he should have done?
I wasn't the president.
That's the point. It is something that has. This is something that in our lifetime has never occurred.
Yeah, these are the Democrat arguments for why people were shutting down and people didn't know how long the economy should stay closed for and what the stimulus should look like.
Anybody can armchair.
Did Trump make any mistakes during COVID?
Look.
Did Trump make a single mistake during COVID?
Let me think. Did January 6th happen during COVID?
Maybe, yeah.
He should have never conceded the election. He should have just freaking cast. That was his only mistake. Now can I ask my question?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. All I'm saying is, will you, since we're all about flowers and equality and everybody get free stuff, people will argue for illegal criminal alien migrants to come live off the American dime, right? You want to give my taxpayer dollars to them. Will you give the proceeds from this event to these kids for whatever they want, just to make their life a little bit more equal to yours and mine, since we're doing so well?
I've never advocated for that. What are
I'm
you
just
talking
asking.
about? Well, there's no advocation for this.
So you don't want equity and economic equity?
Do you support Chicago police fighting back against ICE?
No.
Okay, so then you don't believe in the Second Amendment or the state's rights to have a militia?
No, that's not a militia.
That's literally what the militia is. The whole reason the Second Amendment exists was for the states to protect themselves from a tyrannical government.
Are you really going to try to conflate a paramilitary group, which is police?
The Chicago police?
The police department?
Is paramilitary, but the guys coming from the Black Hawk choppers with the masks who are...
Dude, these guys have tanks. There are police departments with tanks.
No,
there's not.
Paramilitaries have tanks. What are you talking about? What does that have to do with anything?
There are police departments with tanks.
So? Yeah, they get it from the military.
That makes them paramilitary. What I'm telling you is this. That is not a militia. The law enforcement's job is to uphold and defend the Constitution. That's what their job is.
To enforce their
when
state
they're
laws.
fighting against
to
the
enforce
federal,
their state laws.
Listen,
state sovereignty doesn't matter now to conservatives?
You're conflating two different things.
I'm not conflating anything.
You kind of just going off of an emotional thing.
I'm not going off an emotional. I'm going off a legal thing. You're going off of emotions. You think cops are there to make you feel good.
The federal government.
State police are there for state laws. Local police are for local laws. The federal government is there for federal laws.
The federal government trumps, no pun intended, any local law enforcement.
If they trump any local law enforcement, Well, you tell me. Why did Trump allow half the country to close then under COVID?
Huh?
Why
You're
did Trump allow
moving
half
the goalposts, Destiny,
I'm
and
not moving the
doing that
goalposts.
with
The
you.
president has that
I'm
much
not doing
control
that
over
with you.
everything.
I'm not
Then
doing
why
that
did
with
Trump
you.
allow half the country to close under COVID?
Someone may want to do that with you, but I'm not doing it. Are we talking about the police departments committing treason against the federal
They're not
government?
committing treason. They have no obligation.
That's exactly what they're
They
doing.
don't have
do.
obligation to enforce
They
federal law.
took an oath to defend the Constitution and the citizens under their care.
The police force is there to enforce the laws that they have jurisdiction
Right.
over.
But
not federal laws.
But the police forces are abandoning their responsibility, like
not
in
abandoning.
Portland.
They don't have an
Come
obligation
on,
to do
man.
that.
They did. When you call the police in Portland, they don't show up for 3 hours. Someone got knocked unconscious the other day in Portland. The ICE agents had to come get that guy off the street and bring him in for medical care.
Yeah, there was a lady that got shot and killed by the feds in the Capitol building
Those
on
things
January 6th when Trump refused to send anybody there.
She shouldn't have been trying to break into Congress.
Sure, but Trump also probably shouldn't have told them all to go there, right?
He did tell him to go peacefully.
No, he said they
And
would be marching peacefully. He also
patriotically.
don't fight like hell or they're going to lose their country. And that's what they went and did.
Hey, I saw you lose this argument on
I
Jubilee.
didn't lose this
don't wanna
argument. I won
rehash
it
this
completely.
out
It's
again.
completely
Like,
100%. I know
listen,
every part of that argument.
Trump
Trust
said
me.
peacefully and patriotically.
Trump said fight like hell or you'll lose your country. If he said peacefully and patriotically, how did so many people misunderstand him?
So anytime you, so
is he a bad communicator too?
listen, I heard Hillary Clinton say, "I'm a fighter." Kamala Harris said, "I'm a fighter." Neither one of these women have ever.
How many people do you see
have
fighting in
ever
the
thrown a
street
punch.
with Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris banners?
Dude, I saw a kook on the freeway earlier. Biden Harris and Harris Walls on the freaking bumper sticker with all these other cat stickers.
You saw a car driving.
These are. How did they get?
This is
a
like the
license?
conservative machine
How
right
did they
here.
get a
This is your
license?
problem.
Yes.
Is the bumper stickers.
Yes,
That's what's
yes.
driving you crazy.
I'm just listen, Destiny. I'm a common man, and my concern.
You had 4 trips to Africa over COVID. What kind of
What can I
common
say?
man?
Very common. I'm a common man. I have my concerns are those of a common man. Arguing all these different issues, it means nothing to me.
Not compared to DEI?
How do I feed my family? And are you going to give the proceeds from this event to these beautiful people who showed up? I
After
don't think
you
they got the
defend-
show they wanted because those first 3 guys were
After
terrible.
you defend states' rights to defend themselves
Let's
from a
have
tyrannical
equality.
federal government.
How about this, guys? How about I'll give you everything in my pocket. You guys divide it up immediately. Destiny donates the proceeds of this event to you guys equally.
All right, final.
I think that's a good idea.
Brandon gets the final word there. Brandon gets the final word. What do you got?
My final word is this, guys. Just wait a little while. Don't be so. Don't be so. Listen. Don't be so hyped up over what's happening even now. In 3 years, Donald Trump's going to be gone, and you're going to have to make a very important decision about the future of this country. I would start preparing to make the right decision about that instead of complaining about something you can't change. Trump will be president for the next 3 years, whether you like it or not. In 4 years, a lot changes. A lot of you will have families, maybe kids, whatever that you want or you don't want. When you start having those type of responsibilities, your entire perspective is going to change. Mine did as I got older. I would not hang my hat on this crap because you're going to inherit this country and your children will inherit it from you. Don't create a situation that they can't come back from. And I think that's what we're at risk at with this type of rhetoric. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Put your hands together for Brandon. He had a really good run. All right. Wow.
What do you got for me? Are you a Trump guy?
I am a Trump guy.
Ooh.
Well,
Okay.
I voted for Trump. Not going to defend everything, but
3 times or?
yeah, 3 times. No,
Okay.
no. Basically, my first question is why?
Wait.
Yeah,
Can I ask how old you are real quick?
I'm 26.
Okay. All right. Just curious. Okay. Go ahead.
My first question is why is it incumbent on Trump to come out and condemn all political violence post Charlie Kirk assassination?
I feel like there's like a basic like humanity thing that I think every human being should have like an instinct when they see violence and like a healthy environment to want to discourage it as much as possible. I think that when people are calling for violence or when people seem to be okay with violence, I think it says something about what their political goals are or what their goals in general are or what their morality is. I mean, Donald Trump is the de facto and de jure head and leader of the nation, the head and leader of the Republican Party, and I mean, I guess it's controversial to say this, but like, I mean, a lot of political violence comes from the right, or is at least happening to the right. So it just seems, it seems morally deficient and character deficient for him to not seem to want to make statements to bring the temperature of the country down like Biden would.
But then I would just say that your reaction to Charlie Kirk's assassination wasn't necessarily human either. There wasn't a human element there either. So
I feel like there was a very human element to my reaction. What like is pretty not too common that you watch people that you've ever like interacted with get killed before, and then the idea that you would be in similar situations potentially, I think is kind of unnerving. I think it's fair for me to say that. When this happens in my country, and then the next day I see the president of the United States just saying unhinged statement after unhinged statement after unhinged statement, I think it's fair for me to look at more than just kind of like the virtue signal position and try to think more strategically of like what needs to happen to actually make the country a calmer place. Because so far, Democrats disavowing violence over and over again hasn't seemed to work.
that's my point, is that it seemed like you were setting up some kind of rule where it's like before you make any principled statement, you have to say, or you have to hear it from Trump first, and I don't think that's a requirement. That wouldn't be my rule, basically. Like, I think you could just have a principled statement. I mean, I understand the prisoner dilemma stuff, but like, you could just have a principled statement. And I think not everyone, the culture isn't necessarily run by the president. I think nowadays it's run by online media. And I think you're the biggest influencer on online media.
You don't think
And so
Trump is
that's
a big
why-
influence in online
that's
media?
why I'm looking to you.
Okay.
That's why I'm looking to you. That's my rule of you should come out, especially if it's done by a lefty, you know, like the Charlie Kirk assassination.
I don't know if that guy was a lefty or not, right?
I think there's pretty solid evidence.
I think there's
that-
zero evidence so far that he was a
Zero
lefty,
evidence?
right?
Like, well, I mean, what do you think about the bullet engravings?
I mean, all of them so far seem to be Epic Gamer references or whatever.
what is that supposed to mean? Or like,
They're just, like they come
that
from
could
games
still-
and TV shows and stuff.
that could still indicate a leaning, though.
It could.
That
I'm not saying there's no. I'm not saying it's impossible that he was left leaning. I'm just saying there's not really
Yeah.
any good evidence of it right now.
Okay, but like probably more. I think good enough evidence. Like, you wouldn't bite the bullet and just say that he's probably a lefty.
Absolutely not.
You wouldn't.
I don't think there. I just don't think there's great evidence. I think right now,
If he's trying to take out one of the conservatives' top guys, what would be the reason for that?
I mean, he
if
could have just.
wasn't.
He could have been like a closeted gay guy who just hated the fact that like he was anti-gay, like he lived with a trans roommate and everything. He could have just hated political people in general. He could have been trying to impress somebody. I don't know. Apparently, one of the Reagan assassins, or wannabe assassins, tried to do this. Like there are a lot of potential explanations. Whatever the explanation is, it could be an exceptional explanation because it's an exceptional event. But I'm just saying there's not solid evidence where it's like, oh, this guy's definitely radicalized by the left, right?
But that doesn't outweigh, I think, the bullet engravings. Like, he didn't have to do that. He's doing that so people can know. He's claiming it. He's openly claiming it. So it's like that.
If he was, then
whatever
why would
that
there be
was.
any ambiguity at all, right? Like, there's no Discord logs of him being super left. There's no public statement of him being super left. Whatever the note was that supposedly there was a picture of, I guess, that wasn't anything super left. None of the text messages indicated he was super left. Like, he didn't make... His mom, who's super MAGA, my mom says I'm super left, okay? No offense, but...
I mean, I think that could just be like a coded, edgy thing to do.
Yeah, but
And,
how
like,
stupid would it be
how
to do
much
a coded message when you're trying to make a statement of the world that you're doing a political assassination?
Well, like you're saying like you have to have 100% evidence.
I'm saying
in order
like
for
having
that to-
10% would be
in
nice.
order for that to outweigh the evidence that he's not.
No, I
which
think
was your-
I'm think in a less charged environment, I'm taking I'm just looking at all the facts. It is weird that like if you look through this guy's history, if you look through his roommate's history, they look like aggressively normal people. Like their whole history is like so normal in terms of like comments online and everything. And that's really weird. Normally you see like really radical stuff. But like unlike the other side, because conservatives don't do this, I extend the same courtesy to the I think the trans church shooter. No, I don't think it
I
was.
don't know that one.
It was
but
either them or somebody else made a statement, or they said something like they supported Brandon Herrera or something. Did anybody remember this? It was a church person, yeah. But like looking at the context of everything, that person was like, "This is a meme statement. This person's not actually like a supporter of this guy, or if he is, it's like for non-related reasons, right?" So like I extend the same thing there. I'm not gonna say like, "Oh, this guy was 100%, a right-wing radicalized by Brandon Herrera person." I'm just saying like in the totality of things, like this shooter for Charlie Kirk, there's like nothing. There's not much here besides our bullet writings in terms of.
well, I don't know that specific situation, but if you wanted to go to the Hortmans, I would say he has more evidence of being a left winger than the Hortman shooter was of being a right winger.
Why didn't the Hortman person like literally have a list of Democrats that they wanted to go and kill?
He also had the No Kings protest flyers there as well. So I'm like, I don't really know what to weigh. It seemed like he was more in a mentally unstable position than.
It seemed pretty like driven and on a mission.
What you're saying
no?
the Kirk shooter was.
I don't think there's any evidence for either of these guys being like I'm saying crazy, very specifically like psychotic or delusional or something. Like hearing voices or something. Like I think they both did what they did for probably like logical reasons, like they could explain them from start to finish. I don't obviously support. I don't think it's good.
But I mean, the crux of it is you think.
But here, backing up,
the turning down of the rhetoric should come from the president. In your mind, in my mind, I think it should come from online media influencers because they are influencing the culture. And
yeah, but
would
everybody
say
on the right takes notes from Trump.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think the right takes notes from Trump.
Everybody takes notes from Trump.
What do you mean? Like
on everything? Epstein.
No, let me explain. So like,
okay,
the online media culture. I think the people online, the young men online, were doing the work for Trump. No matter what he said, we were doing the work to get him elected. You know, and that's really what won him the election was the online media and the rise of independent media, online media. Not necessarily politicians. It's why Trump can say crazy things and Biden can be, senile, and it doesn't matter to people.
But I think it does matter. I think it says something that when Trump says crazy things, people go out and do crazy shit. Like nobody's citing Biden.
We'll trace that though. Like what has he said that has led to someone doing something?
Well, like he said the 2020 election was rigged. He said that mail-in ballots were fake. He brought a ton of people to the Capitol. They went and did some crazy shit. There was the recent guy who, the kid who live streamed himself running over those two girls, who followed like a ton of like Trump and Charlie Kirk shit, and he said that these two girls were like making fun of Charlie Kirk's death. In terms of like,
I don't know about that.
I know that's always a secret defense.
No, I really don't. Seriously, I don't know about that one.
I understand, but I feel like that's a big part of the problem. I feel like conservatives only ever hear about the things that like are the most relevant to them, and then
no, like I'm online, I'm on Twitter every day. I watch like a lot of video. I watch like a lot of videos.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
Everyone here is
but I'm
probably
saying
on
that
Twitter,
like if
too.
I were to like say that like I'm on Twitter every day, like we're seeing different things unless we're going out explicitly looking for contradictory evidence, right?
But I'm talking like the big name stories. Like my first example was a Charlie Kirk assassination.
Yeah, but the big name stories are what conservatives want to be the big name stories, right?
Maybe. Like I don't know.
Do you agree
What's
that it
supposed
was?
to mean?
So I would say that it was unacceptable. I would say this is an instantaneous impeachment, like exile from the country moment. When Donald Trump was asked by, is it Caitlin Collins? Is that her name?
I don't.
Yes.
I don't know
When
who
she
that
was
is.
at, I think it was her that asked the question. Well, she said, "You wanted to lower the flag to half staff for Charlie Kirk. Do you think, in retrospect, that it's kind of in poor taste that you didn't do this for the Hortmans when they were killed in Minnesota, and Trump didn't even know about it? Like that seems exceptionally crazy to me. No?
And Trump did. This is my first time hearing this.
I
story.
know.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious.
Stop.
Yeah.
Calm down. You fuckers don't know about shit unless I watch on stream either. Okay, so fuck
yeah,
you guys.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers. I know how this shit works. Okay.
So I just don't feel comfortable commenting on something I don't really know the whole case for.
Let's assume that was true. Would that be a disgraceful, disgusting moment?
That he didn't lower at half mast.
No, that he didn't even acknowledge that he knew about it. He was like, I don't know, who's that?
That would be bad. But like,
Did you ever see the video after the shooting happened where somebody asked him outside the plane? They were like, "Are you going to call, Tim Walz and talk to him?" And he was like, "That guy's a whack job or whatever. I'm not going to call him or say anything."
No.
Okay. If he did say
I've
that, that
never
would be
seen-
kind of bad too, though, right?
I that was too fast. I didn't.
If he did say
comprehend
that,
what
though,
you
that
were
would be bad, right?
saying. What did you say? I
That
didn't comprehend
when
what
he
you
was
said.
asked, I think outside of Air Force One, they were like, "Are you going to call Tim Walz or have a conversation or reach out to the governor of Minnesota or anything?" And Trump was like, "That Walz is a whack job. I'm not going to talk to him. Whatever."
Yeah. That I would say that's bad.
bad?
I would say that's
Okay.
bad. But
And then just
since-
real quick,
since
and then
we're going-
and then you go to your point.
Yeah.
Would you say that those two things together, those two things together are worse than anything that Biden has said in the totality of his presidency about Republicans, or any individual instance of violence ever, or and you can include Obama there too, and Clinton, and the other.
I don't know if I would say that. I would
Like,
have
can
to,
you think
I would
of
have
one
to go
worse?
back-
Yeah, just think of one. Maybe not off the top of your head, you can't. But like, can you think of one
Yeah.
worse? Like, what's the worst thing that like Biden ever said about a?
Well, I'm not like necessarily like a huge Biden critic or anything. I'm just saying like I know he was escalating rhetoric towards conservatives. Saying
Biden was?
Yeah, like, what was it?
You're going to bring up the
Not-
speech.
Oh yeah. It's probably the speech. What was that after? Do you remember?
The MAGA Republicans ones, that they're a threat to the country?
I don't know what we're talking about.
Is
at
it the
this
one with the
point.
red background where he looks like Darth Vader?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is a red background. It is a red background.
So in that speech, like right after he says that, so Republicans always quote that one line, but he says, I don't think that all Republicans are MAGA Republicans. I don't even think most of them are. I've worked with a lot of them in Congress, blah, blah, blah. But the thing that he's talking about, and I don't know how else he's supposed to address this, is the fact that the majority of the Republican Party still didn't believe the results of the last election. So when he says that, like, this is a threat to the country,
and they're allowed to believe that. They're allowed to.
I mean,
People are allowed to. Yeah, they're allowed to believe that.
well, no, hold on. I'm just.
What do you mean when I don't have to respond to this? But what do you mean? Do I believe it or not?
No,
Do
I didn't ask if you
the
believe it. I'm just saying that, like, that it. Well, if people are allowed to believe that, then that means that Biden should be allowed to believe that they're a threat to the country, right?
If people
are allowed to believe that the election
he's allowed to believe it. I'm just using this as an example of him inciting rhetoric, which is kind of a liberal talking point of like, let's focus on who's inciting the rhetoric. And so I'm analyzing who's inciting the rhetoric, and we keep pointing at instances before the Kirk assassination, and before that happened was the Trump assassination attempts. And I remember your rhetoric on this too. And so
that guy
I think
was also
that's
a registered Republican, right?
damning. That guy was a registered Republican?
Both of them were, right?
Well, I don't know if that necessarily matters actually.
Well,
Like,
but if they were a registered left-leaning person, do you think that would matter? If they were
no,
a registered Democrat?
I think it's enough evidence to say if they're taking out one of the top guys or the president, that means they don't like him.
Well, what about the evidence that
And
the
we live
guy?
in a
What about
two-party
what about
system.
the assassin for the Hortmans? That wasn't enough evidence there that person and the list of all the other
I'm not
Democrats.
saying
wanted to
there
kill?
is evidence there. We're working with two different rules. You're
Sure.
saying we should demand that the presidents denounce political violence or condemn it on the world stage. I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
we should condemn online media influencers because they're in charge of the culture now.
Yeah, but I think the
which
right
has a
takes
big
their notes
impact.
from Trump.
I'm just going to disagree with that.
Can you
That
give me any examples where there are huge?
They
out
don't
of
take notes from Trump. Like
when
the
Trump says
right-wing
something, they'll always
culture was
defend it.
built independently, which resulted in Trump getting elected.
Yeah, but now Trump works with it, and there's like a top-down like structure where when Trump says something, everyone else is saying it, and everybody supports it.
Like presidents can influence culture from the top down, but it's mostly just in terms of we have the authority to enforce what the culture is saying.
Well, then why did all Republicans seem to not care as much about the Epstein files?
I don't know how that's related.
Well, because if that's what that seemed like they really cared about it for a while, but why did they stop? It's because Trump told them to stop because he said it was a loser issue, and then everybody took notes from him, and eventually that's cascaded through the party. And
my
that's,
whole point is like you can condemn individual Republicans for not if they were big on Epstein files and then that changed because they didn't want it to get found out. I think you can criticize individuals there. That's my whole paradigm is like we shouldn't be holding people responsible. We should just hold the people. I mean, the only people responsible would be the online media influencers for the culture and the rhetoric. But like you could just criticize individuals. You could criticize Charlie Kirk for what he said. It doesn't matter.
But I don't understand why we think that like the president of the United States can't have a large influence on the culture.
No, I'm not saying he can't.
Then shouldn't he be
I'm just
disavowing
saying
violence?
nowadays, which is different than history, it's the culture is run independently. It's through independent media.
Okay,
it's
I
through
disagree,
online
but we
media.
don't even have to agree on that point. Shouldn't Trump disavow violence?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so it's a moral failing of his to not disavow violence,
Yep.
and it's a greater moral failing for him to say that violence on his side is somewhat justified.
Violence on his side is somewhat. I don't know about that.
So when he
I
was
don't
on
know about
Fox and Friends, they asked him about like violence on the left or the radical violence, and he says that when it was something I'm paraphrasing, but he says like when the leftists do radical violence, it's like trans-Tifa or whatever stuff, but when the right does radical violence, it's in response to the left being crazy. So like, in a way, he made it sound like right-wing radical violence was righteous, and
that.
left.
I kind of believe that. I kind of agree with that. Like when we trace it back, and I've been following you a long time. I've been following politics a long time. When we trace it back, the first instance for me of like excusing political violence on a big scale was BLM Antifa, and that happened before J6. That happened before J6. So I'm like, I saw a ton of people excusing it. bailout funds for the rioters. And someone at the end of it, towards the end of it, someone was shot in cold blood. A conservative was shot in cold blood about that. And there wasn't any denouncing of violence there. So it is important to go to the first infraction. I'm curious to know what your first infraction.
Well, probably shots fired in the Revolutionary War or something. I mean, there's been violence for a lot of U.S. history, right?
Yeah.
But I'm when I look at the BLM stuff, I feel like there's a difference in that a lot of this is like decentralized. It sucks because conservatives make so many excuses for Trump because of COVID, but they never make excuses for Democrats on COVID, which is whatever, I guess. But like, everybody was crazy around the fucking BLM riot time, right? Everybody's inside. We all watched George Floyd die for 9 minutes, and just people fucking lose their minds. I think a lot of the BLM like rioting stuff, I think was bad. Destroying neighborhoods, all this shit, I think is always bad. I think Democrats paid electoral prices for it, and I think a lot of them, when Biden came into office, he had to denounce and say that like violence is unacceptable, guys. We can't riot. It's not okay.
But why do you think it's important to say on both sides if we know where the side that it came from?
Well, because violence does come from the right, and we should all want.
But I'm asking you for the first example where it came from the right that was before BLM and Antifa.
What do you mean?
The first example of like political violence that came from the right that was before BLM and Antifa. You know, like in my lifetime.
What about it? Or are you asking for like an example of it?
Because you get into a revenge cycle. The first time that infraction's made and politicians don't denounce it and everyone supports it, and we can get into BLM and Antifa, but like the first time that's made, then the other side has the prisoner's dilemma of like, okay, well, we can't just be condemning, our side.
But the Democrats have been condemning their side over and over again, and everybody.
Well, you're kind of just making the all lives matter argument of like, oh, we're condemning
you guys made the all lives matter.
Well, you're making it now. You're saying we need to condemn all violence, even if you knew it came from one side.
Sure, I think we should all condemn all violence. I think that's a pretty acceptable.
That is kind of just an arbitrary rule that you created.
That's not. I think it's a really good rule that everybody should condemn political violence.
Before you can be principled about that. Like, because that's really what's happening is you're saying before
I am principled about it.
Before I can make any statement on Charlie Kirk, it's like I need to
know that I have a partner in civility.
And I need to ask President Trump.
Yeah.
I need to ask him, as if that would do anything. I need to ask him to turn down the rhetoric before you, Destiny, make a.
Yeah, that's a principled position. It's better than Trump's, right?
But my principle is better, is what
I don't care
saying.
about your principle. I care about the president, the leadership of the United States, right? You acknowledge that I have a different principle than Donald Trump, right?
But I'm here to criticize you. Like that's
okay.
What I'm here
Well,
for.
then my position is that I think that it's as somebody
who's
compared
it to Donald Trump.
What?
We already compared it to Donald Trump, and I'm saying if you go back. My paradigm.
So you think it's
longer.
immoral? You think it's immoral to have the position of, I'm willing to condemn violence. I condemn all violence. I'm willing to condemn any amount of violence as long as my civil partner is on the same page as me and is willing to condemn it as well. Do you think that's an immoral position to hold?
Not an immoral position necessarily. I'm just like, why can't? It seems like what we understand about like principled positions is more in line with what I'm talking about. Is you
How?
Can make
Why
it
do you lock your car door at night?
Regardless.
Do you lock your car doors?
Do I lock? Yes.
Why?
I lock my car doors. So it's safe. Everything.
Yeah, because somebody might break in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like you take precautions if you feel like
Regardless,
another side is
I don't need him to do anything to lock my doors.
Yeah, I understand that, but like I don't know if you would like necessarily like lock the kitchen cabinet cereal away from like a partner or whatever because they're going to steal it. Because you have some level of trust there, right? When you're operating in a civil society, there's some level of trust between you and the other side or the other sides or the other parties involved. When that trust is broken, there's no morality or virtue in constantly attacking your own side over and over and over again. I would say that that's actually an immoral position because all you're really doing is throwing, especially the more.
How is it not like? It's the most easiest principle position to take to like come out and condemn political violence.
I agree. That's why it's immoral because it's an easy
assassination.
position to take. It's thoughtless, it's brainless, and it accomplishes nothing.
The Democrats have always used this just as a weaponization tactic to recuse accountability from
But
their
they
side.
don't. Every Democrat came out and criticized the Charlie Kirk political violence. When Trump got, do you recognize that Trump and Biden react differently? Like when natural disasters happen, that Biden deploys FEMA immediately, doesn't play games with it. Trump plays games with it. Do you acknowledge that?
I don't understand what that point was.
So Biden will immediately reach out to governors. He'll immediately make whatever funds available needs to be available. He'll call people, talk to people, whatever. Trump will play games. In California, he was saying, well, you guys have to agree to change the water rules, or I'm not sure if I'm even going to send FEMA to blue states. Trump plays games with it. Biden doesn't play games with it, right?
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. What
It doesn't have to mean anything. I'm just asking a simple question. That Biden, if there is a natural disaster in a state, you don't have to worry if Biden is the president, if anything's going to happen. You know that he's going to do what he needs to do as president to step up and provide those resources. With Trump, I have no idea. If I was a Californian and a natural disaster came in, I have no fucking idea if Trump's going to actually step up and do what he should do as leader and deploy FEMA in the way that it should be.
I don't know either, but
That's not good, right?
I don't see what your point is.
No, I
don't see
don't.
what-
Stop
I don't see
trying
what
to
your point
preempt
is.
my argument. I'm just saying that in and of itself, that's a bad, immoral thing, right?
What is?
That Trump won't do his job as president and take care of Americans, all American citizens.
Yeah, sure.
What do you mean, sure? It's a bad thing. It's immoral. It's like a huge failing as leader. It's one of the few
Well, you have
things.
to weigh that against all the other things that he's responsible.
It doesn't
for.
matter what else he
That's
said.
the
That
only-
in and of itself is
All
like a
right.
moral failing. Like he
I'll
should.
I'll say yes because
Okay.
it really doesn't mean that much to me. My whole point was like, why are you asking us to do something before you can make your take?
I've already made my take.
When we know that it doesn't even do anything, you already admitted that, like, oh, the president coming out and condemning all violence doesn't do anything.
When have I ever said that?
You said that at the beginning. Hence the political assassinations that happened afterwards. You said that, Destiny.
Wait, I said that the president condemning violence doesn't do anything?
Yes, you said it doesn't end up doing anything. Yes.
I don't. Did I say this?
Verbatim. Almost verbatim.
I don't think I said this.
Run it back.
How can I run it back?
They'll run it back.
If I thought that the president disavowing violence didn't do anything, then why would I ask Trump to disavow violence?
No, that's my question. Why would you ask Trump to disavow violence?
We just spent the whole beginning part of this debate where you were arguing that the president disavowing violence doesn't matter because the culture is controlled more by alternative media and online figures, and I was saying no, I think the president matters.
All I have to define is my paradigm, which doesn't recuse people of accountability if we just say all lives matter, basically. If we just say we should condemn all violence, that's not the truth of the situation. Like if you were to say the same thing about BLM Antifa, it's like that's not the truth of the situation. This is the all lives matter.
The issue, but the issue is that. Wait, so are you just checking? Are you acknowledging that the all lives matter argument was a bullshit argument?
A bullshit argument? No, I'm not taking a position on this.
Okay, well, because you're using it against me like it's a bullshit argument. The issue.
No, I'm just letting people know. I'm just
no.
letting people
But
what
like
you're using. What you're using.
Okay. Do you acknowledge that if for nuclear weapons, it wouldn't be moral for the United States to just throw away all of our nukes into the sea, right?
Yeah.
That there's a morality there to protecting ourselves, to protecting our own citizens with a nuclear stockpile, and unless Russia agrees to do it at the same time, we can't do it, right?
Yeah.
So I apply the same scenario to I imagine apply it to the Second Amendment. We apply it to most places in our life that we're civil with people who agree to be civil with us. You can't enforce civility from one side. It has to come from cooperation from two
I
individuals.
agree with you. That's why you have to call out the truth of who was responsible. Not
Let's
say all,
sure.
like every time just say all and it
Let's
doesn't do
sure.
anything.
Let's
And
roll
you
this
don't
back.
follow
Sure.
this
Let's
rule
roll
either.
this back. Okay. Let's say that there's one side that now I know that you're not going to agree with this reality, but let's say hypothetically one side never calls out their own side when there's violence. They never condemn their own side when there's violence. They ratchet up the temperature over and over again when there's violence. And then when there is violence on the other side, they say you guys need to disavow all your violence. Do you think that in that world, is it moral for the other side who maybe isn't even being violent? Would it be moral for them to disavow?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
So I understand the position of that. I understand emotionally why that feels like a good thing, but I think that emotion is built on a bedrock idea that it's going to be reciprocated. And if it's not ever reciprocated, now for people like me, whether it is, well, I guess maybe I might be more at risk. I don't know. But for more vulnerable people in society, in terms of who's subject to conservative policy or maybe wider violence, depending on how you view ICE or whatever, I feel like you're throwing all those people under the bus when conservatives are able to just energize their side, ratchet up the violence, constantly scream, into the microphones that we need a civil war and all this other stuff. And then on the left, you just keep disavow. What's the point of that?
As a response, I think people are calling for civil war now because of the political assassination of someone as high profile as Charlie Kirk.
Yeah,
And
but like Biden, Obama,
world wars were started for that exact same reason. So that's not like
Biden, Obama, no world war started yet because the podcaster got killed. Okay, but Biden, Obama,
no,
all
but
these
like,
people,
political
all
assassination.
these people,
and they tried to assassinate President Trump, which would have been a parallel.
When you say they, you mean Republicans?
No, I don't mean Republicans.
Who's they?
I mean
Republican shooter.
Yeah, okay, fine, Republican shooter.
Okay,
but still, that would start a. Wars were started for the exact same reason.
What happened after the Republican white kid shooter shot Trump? What did Biden do? I think he increased the Secret Service. He said everybody needs to calm down. He said we should never kill each other for political violence. He said all the right things.
Sure. Yeah.
When this guy shot Charlie Kirk, before Charlie Kirk was even dead, Trump was like on media blaming trans, Tifa, all sorts of crazy stuff. We had no evidence of anything. Isn't that like super deeply immoral that the president and the vice president would come out and start making statements about the shooter before we even knew anything about the shooting?
I would say they probably think they knew more about the shooting. Like I don't know.
What is that
what
argument?
This,
what is
I don't
that?
know what
Hold
this
on.
argument's about.
No.
I don't know
what?
this
Okay,
argument's
hold on.
about.
They probably thought they knew more. Like what?
No, that matters. Like just like it matters. Like if Trumpers believe the election was stolen, it's the same thing. Like
yeah, but they believe it because
like,
Trump told them that. Trump doesn't believe the election was stolen. He just
why does
lied.
that matter?
What? Trump didn't know if the shooter was left leaning or not. He just said that because it fits his agenda. That's not acceptable for a leader to say, to just start making up theories about the shooting before we even know anything about the shooter, before they even knew anything about the shooter.
It would still matter, like, whether they believe that it actually happened or if they didn't. That would still matter.
I would
more.
agree if they believe it actually happened. It makes it even worse because now they're delusional because they have no reason to even believe it. They don't even have any evidence.
I just don't know where this path of argumentation.
Don't stop trying to preempt it. Just like live in the moment and be a human being.
No, I don't
it's
know.
bad when
I
a
don't
president.
know what your argumentation is.
My argumentation is that the president should have been guessing the motives and the ideology of the shooter before we knew anything at all about the shooter. That's like a deeply immoral, horrible, terrible thing to do.
Before we do anything, yeah. I'll
before we know anything.
Like you just said, if he doesn't know anything, we shouldn't do anything.
He shouldn't make any
And
statements
I
about
agree
the
with
idea, right? And then also, like, I don't think. So here's another issue. You talk about BLM. Okay, so prior to BLM, like, if we look at like the Charlottesville thing, Donald Trump was asked if he would fucking disavow, neo-Nazis or disavow the Proud Boys, and Donald Trump's statement was like, stand back and stand by.
That was. I thought that was for J6.
Nice and
Stand
close
back
to the
and
mic
stand by.
there.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was for J6.
Well, they showed up on J6, but no, I think it was in.
No, but the Charlottesville instance that you just brought up.
Yeah.
He was saying that's a soundbite, and then after that, you know what he said? He said, "I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis."
Well, but it was a neo-Nazi march, right? You're talking
yeah.
like. So he also said
So
he said the thing about how there were good people on both sides
and then
or
went
whatever.
to January 6th, though.
Well, no.
You went-
Hold on. He said that there were the good people on both sides argument or whatever. But I think it was like preceding, or I'm sorry, I think it was pretty soon after Charlottesville. He was asked about like denouncing like the Proud Boys and stuff. I think that happened pretty soon after Charlottesville, right? And the statement that he said, it was unhinged. He said, "Stand back and stand by." What the fuck?
Yeah. And that sounds a lot like your coded incitement of violence recently. That sounds a lot like it.
So when Donald Trump said that on Parler, you literally have like the leaders of the Proud Boys. You've got Stuart Rhodes, you've got Enrique Tarrio saying like, "Heard loud and clear, sir." And then these guys like made top secret signal groups and they organized like huge fucking groups of people to go and break into the Capitol on January 6th. Like that's like a direct. And then Trump pardoned all those people.
But
after.
January 6th was after BLM Antifa. That's my whole point.
But those guys heard their orders loud and clear from Donald Trump's statements before the BLM Antifa stuff. The stand back and
I don't know
stand
if you
by.
can prove they're getting it from Charlottesville.
They said it. He said, "Heard you loud and clear, Trump. Standing back and standing by." It was on Parler that they posted this.
Okay, well, I'm not on Parler, so. Well, how am I supposed to? You think I'm on Parler? Is it an
I'm not saying you're on
expectation
Parler,
that
but
I
I'm
should be
saying
on
that
Parler?
these were some of the most important, I would say, court cases in U.S. history because all these people were convicted of seditious conspiracy. But then, so these guys all made big groups of people to break into the Capitol. They were the first ones in on January 6th. And then after they were convicted and a jury of their peers and everything else of seditious treason or seditious conspiracy, afterwards, when Trump was reelected, he pardoned everybody, including these guys. How is this not like a clear signal to like do the violence? Like I'm calling for it, you did it, and now I'm like pardoning you for getting convicted for doing the violence that I called for. Like this is the most.
That was hard to trace. I'm just going to be honest.
Okay, Donald Trump said, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by, but let me tell you about Antifa. Yeah. And then Proud Boys tweeted out, they said, heard you, Donald Trump, loud and clear. Then they made a plan to take over the Capitol on January 6th. Then they followed through with the plan on January 6th. Then they got arrested and convicted of seditious conspiracy related to January 6th. And then Donald Trump pardoned all of them related to January 6th.
I think stand back and stand by is less coded incitement and violence than what you have said about Trump's assassination attempts and Charlie Kirk's assassination attempts.
Okay, but like you can look at my community and you can look at the differences in like how people are functioning. Like I've said like a million times that there should be no political violence in this country. It's a really bad thing. You can't find Trump making these statements. Everybody in my community knows that like I don't support political violence, and I think like political violence is important. It means that like the system is completely failed. Like everything is like going to shit. That civil war is not a good thing. That none of us should want that world of reality, and that I think both sides shouldn't do it. Remember, you're looking at the fucking Rittenhouse defender guy, right? That's like one of the huge things that I cut like a ton of my like community off over, right?
No, and I respect that.
Sure, but I'm just saying that like my position on violence is pretty much like it's a self-defense thing. Like, but otherwise, fuck up. Like, I'm not here supporting rioters ever. I think it's cringe as fuck. Like, I had a debate on Sam Cedar over the fucking shoot. I don't even remember the guy.
It's your right to do it. I'm just saying I don't think that is I think that's a moral hypocrisy from your point, from your standpoint.
What's like the worst thing you think I've said?
I think one of the worst things is probably that the worst thing to have happened was for the bullet to have missed Trump, or speaking on Corey Comptoir's death, that you F around and find out when you go to these rallies, and that what did you expect? I think you said something along the lines of like, what did you expect coming to those? Hold on. But like when you say what did you expect, that implies that you should expect that. And that's like way more coded incitement of violence.
When you say, okay, let's follow through on that last one. What do you think I mean when I say that? You should expect that.
I don't know. Like, you're on the other side of the aisle.
No, you have to know. You're giving me a lot of like.
No, I don't have to know. I don't have to know.
No, but you're claiming to know. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think it means?
I'm judging your statements. I'm judging your statements.
But what do you think? What do you think it means?
It's my first time I've ever talked to you. How am I supposed to know that?
Well, you obviously have idea. You just said that those statements were worse than Donald Trump's statements, where I can draw a clear line from him motivating people, committing crimes, and then pardoning them.
Not off of what I think you meant by it.
But words are meaningless. They're just sounds. Ooga booga, right? Like they have to mean something.
They're not meaningless.
No. Hold on. Stop. This is a dumb argument. When you say words, there has to be a meaning ascribed to the words. Otherwise, we're just uttering sounds. If I say random things to you, if I utter speech that means nothing to you, then it doesn't mean anything. You are ascribing a meaning to the things I'm saying. So you said earlier that when I said, what do you expect? That you said that was like a thinly veiled call for violence or whatever. Is that if you follow through for however much of my content you've watched?
Implication. Yeah. No, I think that's a direct implication that what do you expect? You should expect violence if you attend these rallies.
What, and then why? What was the motivation? What was what was my conversation about
I don't know
this?
if that part matters. I don't know if the motivation matters. Why does the motivation matter?
Because when I speak, I say more. I didn't just like go live and then say 2 sentences and then turn my stream off.
You're asking me to interpret a whole lot here. I'll try to find a concession if you want to try to find a concession, because I don't understand.
Do you live your life in like 2-sentence quotes? Is that how you view every single?
No. I just trace the statements. I trace the statements people make. That's
what does tracing the statement mean?
Like the objective meaning of the statement, which sometimes there's not going to be an object, and that's where you can throw in coded language. Hold on.
I think all of you guys should. I think everyone in here should eat dogs. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you leave this like thing saying, wow, Destiny's audience is a bunch of dog eaters and Destiny wants all of his audience to eat dogs, because I said that.
Say that last part.
That Destiny wants his audience to eat dogs, that they're all probably dog eaters. Destiny encourages dog eating.
No, probably not.
Okay, because it's like not, I don't talk about this a lot. I'm not a big, shut up. I'm not a big dog cuisine person, right? Yeah. So I think that like...
I'll make a concession if you want to make a concession. I just don't know...
What is my concession? I'm not going to make the concession that I want violence.
I'll make a concession, but it seems like we're at a standstill. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm submitting a paradigm.
Well, here, I can explain, and you can tell me if this sounds like it tracks with every other thing I've said, right? Is that if you engage in a political violence where every single thing you talk about is the end of the world, every single party is trying to invade you and destroy you and kill you and take over everything and mutilate your children's genitals and leave the border open intentionally to flood you with illegal immigrants, and then all the words and verbiage you use is like this, like the holy war, the fight, we got to take over the enemy, they stole your government from you, right? If those are the things...
And what has resulted from that? And I think my point is...
Wait. Look, I'm just saying that when you say all of these things, right, if somebody shows up at like rallies and starts shooting, that's not that surprising to me, right? Like I'd be like, okay, yeah, like I mean, this kind of makes sense. This tracks, right? This is like the verbiage and everything is like this is the end of the fucking world. Everything is coming to kill you and take your country and destroy everything. Like, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me if that event had some kind of political violence involved.
But what if Charlie Kirk was preaching that, and then someone kills Charlie Kirk? That wouldn't make much sense then.
What do you mean?
That wouldn't make much sense. Like you just described. Lost my train of thought. What was your last point?
That if you're like in a side that's constantly preaching political violence and turning up the temperature as high as you can, it wouldn't surprise me that they're like, yeah. I mean, I would say that kind of flows outward to like a lot of different.
And then there's the part of like, what if most of that, the immigration topic that you see as incitement raising the temperature, what if that's like a real issue,
There is no real issue that requires you to label a detainment facility alligator Alcatraz.
I agree.
That's
with
just cruelty.
I'll agree
right?
with that.
Sure.
I think that was bad form, and so that's the concession I'll make. I
guess.
guess.
But it's not just. It gives an indication for what the other person, what's going on in their head, right? So if the other person,
wasn't it DeSantis that did
every single Republican laughed at it and thought it was epic and base and sold merchandise for it and thought it was cool and Kristi Noem defended Donald Trump on it.
But
what?
I said not me, but I'll concede that alligator Alcatraz is an example. That's an example.
Sure. So,
but
I mean,
the immigration topic, it was what you cited as incitement of violence. I'd say that's actually a real issue, which was going to be my second
Things
point.
can be a real issue, but also you could talk about them in a hateful or insightful way.
But you can't just say, "Oh, that's incitement of violence."
I didn't just say, "Oh, that's." I just gave you a specific, concrete example of a way that it's kind of insightful with the way that Republicans deal with it when they say things like.
So I think the alligator Alcatraz example is valid. I don't think the immigration topic as a whole can be.
I've never said the immigration topic as a whole, but Republicans
that's
don't.
How you started. That's how you started it. You clarified and you said alligator Alcatraz, and that's what I conceded to.
I don't think I ever said in general immigration. I feel like I've listed pretty specific things, but
yeah, it was jumbled in there. It's hard to remember everything that you say, but it was jumbled in there.
Okay,
I do know that.
Let's assume that it was jumbled in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Republicans and Donald Trump speak about everything in an existential, hateful way. So when violence results from that, that's just not that surprising to me. I make the same criticism sometimes of Democrat rhetoric. I don't think they've gotten to the point where they're inciting violence, but when they say things like, billionaires own everything, the donor class owns everything, I say like, well, when you leave people no option but to not participate in elections and then to do violence, like that's what people are going to do. That's not surprising.
Which one? Participate in elections or do violence? Which one are we leaving them no option to do?
Both. I think that's what happens. When you tell people that you can't participate in elections...
Those are two different things, though, don't you think?
One leads to the next. If people feel like their vote is irrelevant or their political system isn't responsive to them, then the next step is violence. That's what happens, right? How do dictatorships end? Usually with a coup.
You can't say that happens, but that's not justified. That's not morally justified.
Whether it is or isn't is not what we're at right now. I'm just saying that is what will happen.
This is a moral conversation. I'm critiquing your morality. This is a conversation about morality, not like efficacy. I don't know.
Well, no, but I'm saying, sure, but as part of this, what I'm saying is there are certain things that you can tell people that will lead to predictable things. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yep. And what are those things? Yeah.
So, like, if I were to tell a group of people that there's some guy coming to kill you, and I say this over and over and over and over again, and eventually these people, find this guy in an alley and they beat him up and kill him or whatever. I mean, like, yeah, well, that's pretty obvious. I've told these people forever that they're gonna, get killed by this guy. It's not that surprising that they're gonna kill the dude. Whether or not it's moral for them to do it or not is a separate conversation. But that's not that surprising. People have to feel like they have options. If you take all the options away, then violence becomes the only option.
I don't think they've taken all the options away.
Who?
I think Republicans or whoever you think are taking all the options
away. I agree. I agree
violence.
With that. I agree they haven't taken all the options away. That's why I tell people stop being doomer and you should vote and everything and all this stuff. But Republicans, Donald Trump especially, says that all the options are gone. That's why on that January 6th speech he said, like, you have to fight like hell or you're going to lose your country. They're stealing the election from you. They're stealing all the votes are rigged. All the mail-in ballots are rigged. They're taking everything. They're rigging everything. The deep state is against you. They're cutting off your children's dicks. The libraries have too many gay books. Like every single thing. There's an invasion right now from the whole Democratic Party's Antifa and their domestic terrorist organization. Everything is like an existential fucking end of the world shit. Like we can't find any Biden rhetoric that matches any of this.
All right, Spencer, final thoughts.
Well, here, wait, we'll let him go. Before we move on to the next Destiny guy who's like, oh, let's talk about vegan or whatever.
But I think he actually believes that it was stolen. That's the whole thing is like, it's not necessary. If he believes that, he's not just raising the rhetoric.
He is. You can still believe the thing and raise the rhetoric.
Okay, yeah.
That's why he's doing it, but that's even scarier because now he's justified in that, right?
But what if he was justified in it? Like,
Then if he was justified in it, then I think he'd be justified,
what
right?
if the election was rigged in a certain way?
Yeah.
I'm not saying the votes itself were fake, but like, what if it was
I agree with
corrupted
you. Yes,
and
I
rigged
agree.
in a
I
certain
agree. I agree.
way?
I agree with everything you're saying. Yeah,
Then
but
that
it
would
wasn't.
That would be pretty bad.
It would be.
Well, we could have that conversation about whether it was or it wasn't,
well,
but that would still be very bad.
It would be bad, but it wasn't rigged. There was no
And that-
evidence
and that would
of
be
it.
justified
Hold on.
in his response.
I understand.
That would
but
be justified in his response.
But if you were having a hallucination and I was coming at you with a knife and then you killed me for it, right? Sure, but you're hallucinating, right? This is detached from reality. So whether or not something might be personally justified to you because you're delusional or hallucinating is different than, like, is this an objective true thing in the world that we can have good responses to? Donald Trump didn't.
Do you think he was hallucinating? Because it's important.
No, he was lying.
Lying.
Yes.
Okay, so you think he doesn't believe the election was rigged?
Correct.
And he's just saying that.
Correct.
Okay.
Because
well,
every single person that he tasked with doing an investigation, all of them told him it wasn't rigged. Every single court case, essentially, but one in like Pennsylvania, they lost. There was no evidence ever that showed that the election was rigged. He had nothing compelling to ever believe any of it, but he still told people it was rigged, and he brought them there to protest the outcome of the election.
all right. Well, that's a whole nother conversation. To be
It
fair.
always
Like-
is, yeah.
Like whether or not he believed that it was rigged, that is a whole nother conversation.
Well, if he's
So-
believing things with no evidence, isn't that pretty problematic?
With no evidence, no, not necessarily, because you could have an administration.
Okay,
that,
here, well,
like the Biden-
I'll agree with
or
anything you're
not-
saying, but
yeah.
I just want you to understand the problem that you've just presented me with, okay? So this is the uncomfortable or weird position you put me in. That's why I have the position I have when people ask me to disavow violence. What you have laid out is all the justification needed for a violent insurrection to overthrow the government. If you genuinely believe...
That's the whole point. Is I'm saying.
But hold on. But wait. I can't do
anything.
anything. I can't do anything to dissuade you of that. I can disavow a million times. It's not going to change your mind on whether or not the election was stolen. It's not going to change your mind on whether the deep state is rigging everything. So unless you guys are willing to come over across the aisle and say, okay, fine, political violence is bad when everybody does it, there's no point in me saying it. All I'm doing is subjecting myself
There's no
to...
point in doing that. There's no point in doing.
But there is
it
because
still leads to political.
Democrats don't
assassinations.
want political violence in this country
We don't know that. How are we supposed to know that?
because they disavow it over and over and over and over and over
And
again.
you have the whole other side of, okay, we've analyzed this to death, the right's rhetoric. How about the left's rhetoric? How about the left's
We
rhetoric?
never talk about the rights rhetoric. What are you talking about?
All right, this is just an example where we live in two different realities.
We
so
talk about
I'll
the
concede
rights
that.
rhetoric so little that you don't even know a lot of the major things I'm bringing up. What do you mean?
No, I knew a lot of the major points.
You didn't know that Donald Trump
you
apparently
brought up
didn't know
fringe
the
cases.
Minnesota... What?
You brought up fringe cases.
The Hortman thing is a fringe
No,
case?
I brought up the Hortman thing.
The
I brought
Antifa
up
shooter,
the Hortman thing.
the Trans-Tifa church shooter? I don't think that's a fringe case.
Okay, maybe that one, but that
The Charlottesville thing? I
genuinely-
don't think that was fringe. This was debated a lot.
I knew about Charlottesville.
Okay, January
I
6th is not... I don't think I brought up any fringe cases.
No, I agreed with most of those. I knew about most of those.
Okay.
The only one I didn't know about was the trans church shoot. I remember hearing about it, but I don't know the details of the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the ones that they've like harped on for... That's why they said that the Charlie Kirk shooter was trans. Was
Well,
because
yeah,
of that church shooting.
I don't care about a lot of the trans rhetoric, to be fair, but like.
I know that's great, and you know what, I'm right there with
Yeah.
you because I'm a cis bi, I guess, whatever, fucking male. So I don't give a fuck about it either. But for people in the country who are having the rights stripped from them, right? It kind of probably is shitty.
What rights are they?
Well, the rolling back of like trans healthcare in a lot of places, the lack of guidance now from the CDC or the NIH relating to like hormones for anybody. In some states, I think they've just made it like fully illegal.
Those could be valid issues of children receiving hormone therapy. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So those could be valid criticisms.
Yeah, they could be, but I can't hear the valid criticisms when it's just veiled with hateful, vitriolic speech.
Okay, I don't know what to say to that.
Don't be hateful and vitriolic, and maybe people will take it more seriously.
Well, I could point to leftists being hateful and vitriolic.
On Twitter.
Do
Do you see the difference? Like the elected leaders, these are the people
I'm the one who thinks that online media is the most influential.
Yeah,
to the
but you
culture.
think that because you consume right-wing media that shows you left-wing TikTokers. Like, your impression of the left comes from what the right wing tells you the left says.
No, I see a lot of the left-wing posts too, and I'm like, wow. That
Yeah,
doesn't seem very-
that the right
that
wing is
doesn't seem
showing
very
you.
principled.
Like, you can, like if
But
I
they
were to
still
ask
made
you,
the statements though. They still.
but the people on
I
Twitter
have to
though.
hold people
But there were no lawmakers, no
accountable.
leaders, nobody that that was like, oh, cool,
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk died, right? Every single large figure on the left condemned it.
And I'm saying that doesn't matter, and it doesn't do anything. That doesn't matter, and it doesn't do anything.
I'm just saying, I've never heard of a radical shooter that killed somebody, and they open his
'cause
diary, and this guy's like,
You were
Joseph
talking-
Biden, this is the guy that fucking radicalized me. I'm gonna go fucking get these dudes. It's always somebody
you
more
were
radical
talking,
than that.
You were talking about the politicians just now.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I haven't seen the left-wing online media influencers not just denounce the Kirk assassination, because that's just a baseline, that's just basic, but take accountability. I think we're really talking about take accountability or responsibility for. We should at least look to your rhetoric first. If it came from
I would
your
agree
side.
with that, but you guys don't look at the center-left rhetoric. The center-left rhetoric is generally pretty chill. You look at people like fucking Hassan, and then you paint all of us with that brush. That dude wants violence. That's why he flew to fucking France like a pussy to go and have his little clout pussy, hounding farm or whatever over there while he does his little race shit, right? Yeah, those people do want that. But like, again, nobody's getting radicalized by fucking Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, right? You acknowledge that, right? Nobody's getting radicalized by these two political leaders, right?
Yeah.
There are people that are getting radicalized by like people on the like in the right ecosphere that's like directly tied into Trump. Like you will never find on the left a Stephen Miller in the White House. That will never happen. You'll never find on the left a Jared Kushner, a family member who's managing massive.
Well, what do you mean like a Stephen Miller?
There is no family member from the Obamas, from the Clintons, from the Bidens who occupied such huge positions in the White House that were negotiating deals in the Middle East, right? You agree with that, right? Or anywhere in the world, right?
Are you talking about Stephen Miller? Or?
No, I'm talking about Jared Kushner right now. Sorry.
Okay.
So Kushner was Trump's
Okay.
son-in-law,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
was like the
Yeah,
architect of the Abraham
that's
Accords.
nepotism. That's
Okay.
nepotism. But
Yeah.
you could find someone like Stephen Miller, not saying like, oh, he's as intense, like borderline.
In the White
fascist-
House, though.
Borderline fascist.
In the
but
White
it's
House.
just the right wing's equivalent of what we think is a Stephen Miller.
Yeah, but wait, but I'm
Which
saying
would be-
I'm just saying on the left.
Yeah.
Where in government?
Where?
In government.
Well, I would name like some representative. This is off the top of my head,
Who?
but like. I
Like
would
the
say,
most radical ones are fucking are AOC
like the
and fucking
squad.
Biden.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say like the
AOC
squad.
these
I
people are
was
like-
gonna say the squad.
Yeah, but AOC and all
Yeah.
these guys all condemn the fuck out of the Charlie Kirk shooting and everything anyway. These people are not like
I'm saying that doesn't matter. They're the politicians.
So you
They're
think
the
that if we were to
politicians.
take
I'm
let's
criticizing
say that
the online media influencers who are in charge of their side's culture. That's what I'm
I
criticizing.
understand, but I'm saying that the right in charge of their culture just pushes violence. And I'm saying like even the government people do. Okay, I'm honest
Just
question.
give me something to concede.
Honest question,
Yeah.
okay? Let's say that Trans Tifa shows up right now and they abduct both of us, okay? And we're in a room and they tell us only one of us is coming out here alive, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you get to make the big choice. And what the Trans Tifa super soldier, black trans woman tells you, he says, listen up, okay? Here's what you have to do. I'm giving you a basket. There's two choices. You have Stephen Miller and you have AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashid Tlaib, and who's the fourth one? The squad. Who's the fourth one? Is it really? I never heard that name. Whatever. And Bernie Sanders. All five of them, okay?
Yeah.
You have all five of these people, okay? You have them in one basket. And then on the other side, you have Stephen Miller. Now, whichever one you choose, you have to go through and find the worst statements that they've made. And then your opponent, me, has to find the worst statements from who you don't choose. And whoever statements are worse survives. Do you think that you're going to find more like abhorrent, objectionable, crazy, vitriolic stuff from all of those people, the whole squad and Bernie Sanders, or am I going to find worse from Stephen Miller?
I would believe that, but that's because worse is subjective. I would believe that. Worse is subjective, though.
How then? Like,
Worse, yeah. Worse
I feel like
is
conservatives become postmodernists when it comes time to like have an actual concrete. Jesus.
I don't know.
Did you have any final
Okay,
thoughts
yeah, go
there,
hit me with a final thought. Yeah.
Spencer?
I'll see time. It's cool.